Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
On Cars Tour, would you rather? Do you prefer syrup or sprinkles on your ice cream?
Sprinkles. I'm a calories guy, so serve too many calories. Try to stay healthy.
Sprinkles mixed into some chocolate and good berries that's where it's at.
Sprinkles, definitely sprinkles. I've never really had syrup on my ice cream.
Sprinkles. I don't know, sprinkles. Colorfulness, I like it.
Oh, definitely sprinkles. Syrup's way too sweet.
Syrup for sure.
Syrup.
Syrup for sure. Sprinkles don't have flavor, they're just crunchy.
I'd rather have sprinkles, have a little bit of texture to it.
Sprinkles. I'm not a syrup person. I don't like caramel or chocolate, I guess.
Chocolate syrup, yes. Tastes better. I'm not a sweets person, so I don't do sprinkles or syrup. On this edition of Cars Tour, would you rather? On a cross-country road trip, would you rather drive or be the passenger?
Driver. I don't trust anybody else.
Probably go with driver. Probably just because I like to be doing something. I know passenger, you kind of just like look at your phone and stuff, but definitely driver. I feel like I like to drive quite a bit.
Driver first half, passenger second half. Just because.
Probably the passenger. I like doing the navigation, and I'm real good at being a DJ in the car, so that's probably where I would be.
Driver. I like to be in control.
Definitely driver, because I don't like riding unless I'm sleeping.
Driver, I like to be in control of what I'm doing.
I'd rather be the driver. I'd rather be the one in control.
Definitely the driver. Specifically because I like to be in control of what I'm doing at all times. And mainly I just don't trust other people driving.
The driver for sure. I'd like to drive.
Passenger. I like to ride, I don't know. Sleep, maybe, who knows?
Got to be the driver. I like to be in control.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Tonight could be the night for Daniel Falkingham. Simply put, the battle is on for second place in the NORC iRacing Series, and Zoltan Herzeg may yet give it up to be raced for in the final 3 races of the season. And so we're in the virtual Avondale, Arizona. NORC is live at the Phoenix Raceway on Pit Stop TV. Welcome to the virtual Avondale, Arizona. Eric Brennan alongside on the mic this evening. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV. We've got Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage, and we all welcome you to this evening's Pit Stop TV coverage of the NORC iRacing Series Season 13 Chase. Darlington, the track too tough to tame, was very much tamed by the current best driver in NORC. Daniel Falkingham leading 144 of 147 laps has lengthened his lead even more in this fight for the championship, and depending on car count, may clinch his first NORC championship this evening. This battle for second, however, is anything but sorted out and could even potentially open itself up to Sean Williams in sixth, Eric.
Well, here's the bottom line. First off, hello, everybody. But if Daniel Falkingham somehow finds a way to capture another win here tonight, we got problems because our graphic department is going to have to find where that next star is going to go to indicate his 10th win of the season. But I like how you were able to harpen on some of the subplots, if you will, like that in that battle for second in the championship points. How about some of the names that have not gone to victory lane just yet this season, like that of a John Berry or a David Shutt or even Sean Williams has been very consistent all throughout, and Zach Lindgren Lindgren's been catching fire as of late, and he's kind of trying to work his way up closer to the top 5 in the standings. It's going to take a little bit of work and luck to see if he can get there. But even though Falkingham may have this thing pretty much signed, sealed, delivered with 3 races left to go, counting tonight, I do think that, in fact, we still have a lot to keep our eyes on, and these races at these remaining tracks are going to provide a lot of entertainment. We'll start it here tonight in Phoenix.
Yeah, these few races left are really going to be pretty interesting. Of course, tonight I think is the most skill-related track, if you will, of the 3. Let's take a look at the 3 races left in this season. It's going to, well, again, begin with this evening at Phoenix. We had a little bit of a hiccup there. There we go. Now we can get the schedule up, we can show you. So we're this deep into the season. This is race 23 of 25. It's tonight's 150 scheduled laps at Phoenix. Next week, 134 at Chicagoland, and then 134 at Las Vegas to cap things off. So from South Carolina to Arizona, up to Illinois, and then down to, well, I guess up from here to Nevada in a couple of weeks' time. That will wrap things up. And the fact that we're talking about a champion being wrapped up in only a 7-race chase with 3 races to go is pretty incredible. That's the kind of season that Daniel Falkingham has put together. The numbers are staggering. When you consider the fact that, Eric, we've seen this kind of thing in NASCAR a lot, but usually it's, at least in this kind of formatted chase, it was always a 10-race chase for the NASCAR Cup Series. And usually you only knew a race before, or maybe even at the start of the final race at Homestead. In this case, we know 3 races prior, it's going to be Daniel Falkingham, barring something really weird. He comes in with 70-something points, 76 I believe it was. There are not enough cars to make that amount of points happen. Simply put, he's going to win the championship. It's just not quite official yet.
And that is in no way indicative of the depth of talent that is in NORC Season 13 with the Xfinity car this season. I mean, coming into our preparation for our inaugural broadcast season with NORC, we were going over some notes and highlights and looking at some of the names who have gone on to do some incredible things in the Pro Series. And, you know, just people who have come in here, lit up the charts, lit up the stat book, and then were able to somehow move on here, as John Berry is providing a little bit of entertainment here. But, you know, Falkingham, what he's done against the crop of drivers, including reigning champion, including that of John Berry, guys who have, you know, run well, won titles, won plenty of races, it's astounding. And it doesn't seem to matter or mind what configuration of a racetrack, how long the race is, what the surface is. I mean, the fact that he came out and won Bristol Dirt was probably one of the biggest, I would say, shocks of the season. We thought that would be the one that would upset the apple cart for him, but and no surprise here so far in qualifying here. He's P1 at Phoenix as well.
Some other drivers moving up in qualifying so far is that of Ariati. Now, we've talked a lot about Phoenix so far. Well, more so about the points. Let's talk more about the track specifically, Eric. There is a bit of an interesting kind of scenario here on iRacing, specifically with this racetrack. We don't have the entirely current version just yet. This is the pre-2019 version of the Phoenix Raceway, and you can see the start-finish line here in iRacing still on the longer straightaway of the 3. Honestly, there are 3. It's a bit like a triangle. It's a bit like Pocono in that way. So we still have the old, I guess, map. We still have the old turns 1 and 2, the old turns 3 and 4, but we do at least have the new surface, the new pavement. We have the dogleg that you can cut through. There's no grass here anymore at the Phoenix Raceway, so we're kind of in between stages here at the Phoenix Raceway on iRacing. This is how it looks, and you can see if we pull this track map down exactly how it looks with the very gray bottom lane there, if you will, if you can call it that, of the dogleg that opens up. Now, in qualifying here, Chad Oxendine has just gone up to second place. On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter earlier, we asked, who you got? Daniel Falkingham, Chad Oxendine, or the field? It's going to be exactly that question as we take green. Chad Oxendine, one of the few drivers in this field this evening that has won here before in NORC competition, slated to start from second.
And he's also got a little bit of luck on his side as far as today, as we were going over earlier before we came on air. He's celebrating a birthday here today, so trying to keep some of that keep good mojo in his path is that of Oxendine. And here is Zoltan Herczeg, who elects to bin it at the end of his qualifying lap, and it looks as though that Herczeg is not going to be able to crack the top 10 by virtue of that time. In fact, he doesn't have a lap of record put down, does Herczeg. He's going to hit the reset button perhaps here and try it again. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time, though, to get back to the start-finish line. But Oxendine is known as someone who is really good on short tracks. I know Phoenix is a one-miler, isn't really considered a short track, but the way in which you have to attack it could play right into his wheelhouse here. And we almost had a Falkingham and Oxendine duel at Darlington last week. Kind of went a little bit back and forth. There was some ebb and flow to it, and I'm excited to see what Chad has in store for us tonight.
Almost had a duel. We absolutely did on that last lap. Do you guys remember that finish? What a finish. Last week at Darlington, shades of Kyle Larson, obviously, but boy, Oxendine almost made it work. Lifted a little bit for him. I think if he had rode that wall and stayed in the throttle, he had that race very much won. Regardless, some 19 cars, it looks like. No, 21, I think, is the number that we're going to have this evening. Yes, 21 cars are ready to go racing this evening from the Phoenix Raceway. Let's meet our starting grid for race 23 of 25. Starting on pole this evening, it is, of course, Daniel Falkingham. Another pole for the driver of the 20 car. He leads the field to the green this evening, starting to his outside. Again, it's that guy, Chad Oxendine. These two are the best two in the series currently, no doubt about that. Starting from the third position, it's going to be David Shutt with Bobby Chaney alongside the number 24. Starting from the fifth position, it'll be Jared Wishon. Brand new to the series, a few starts under his belt, now is going to be starting from fifth at Phoenix. Let's see what he can do out west. Terrell Baker starts to his outside. Starting in the sixth spot, Eric, it's going to be Ariati. Brett Pancari to his outside. The back row of the top 10, it's going to be Howie Briss and John Barry.
Driver just missed out on a top 10 effort in qualifying. Sheldon Lockey in the number 69 will roll off 11th. Outside, Josh Robin, who is always a bit of a threat every time he comes out to compete in NORC. Daytona winner Cody Miller trying to make up some ground in the championship standings. Ninth coming into tonight's race. And Will Klein is back after a week off. He's going to start the number 48 in 14th spot after we did not see that car at Darlington. Take you back now to row number 8 on the inside. Zoltan Herczeg, runner-up on the points. We saw he did not get a lap down in qualifying. Going to come from the inside of the 8th row in 15th. Outside Spencer Owens in the 16th spot in car 12. Tom Mercier in the 68 will start 17th. Outside Justin Gable makes a NORC return. And it'll be the car 13 in the 18th spot. Rounding out your top 20 will be that of Zach Lindgren and Sean Williams in the 89.
The final car this evening will be Patrick Colby. Now, the order gets a little bit mixed up sometimes with some drivers potentially joining the session late, but that is at least your field of 21 starters as they will come to the green flag. It's a 1-mile track. I think that is well documented at this point here with the Phoenix Raceway and its history through iRacing and of course, well, NASCAR. 1-mile track, but you can certainly shorten it and expect these drivers to do so on this first lap. Ready to bring us to the green, as always, is, of course, the one, the only TCB. Buddy, take it away.
All right, boys, here we are right here in the desert. Can I get a good old happy birthday to Chad?
Already cutting that dog leg goes birthday boy Chad Oxendine down to the bottom side of Falkingham. Couldn't quite make the move into 3, but he is there, and look at everybody filing into turns 3 and 4. This is going to be a fun one.
The shortcut on what is still the back straightaway in this version of Phoenix is one of the most visually pleasing elements of stock car racing you could find in some of the big NASCAR series as well. The problem is when you come back up on the racetrack, you got to be prepared to get that car wound up in time to make the corner. And a reminder that with this version, that's going to be where they're at full song even after the start and restarts of these races, and everybody's still trying to find a bit of a rhythm. Bobby Chaney, after having one of his best qualifying efforts of the season, has lost one spot since the start of the race. You're on board with him heading down to turn 1, and he is trying to pressure TCB, who we just heard from, to kick things off here in what is starting to be a race for 4th position.
Bobby Chaney not in the chase this season, didn't quite make all the races, wasn't going for points. He's just here to see what he can do in some of these races. This might be his best chance to go for victory at a track that he has not won at yet here in NORC competition. Following, of course, TCB. What a pretty good start for him. What a great start, I'd say, for him. Moving up a spot or two and getting into this top 4 now as he rides behind David Shutt, one of the few drivers that has won here before. And they're all chasing Daniel Falkingham. No surprise there. The 20 car, quick again.
Just judging by the similarities of the lines and the pace that drivers are taking through the corners, even though it's very early, as Oxendine tries to use the apron a little bit there coming through the corner, David Shutt trying to mount a charge off of turn number 4. It looks like passing is going to be a bit of a premium here. This may turn into a legitimate track position race for sure, as being able to get enough of a run off the corner and trying to pull up alongside someone could be a tough task, as David Shutt's going to try to do here on Oxendine for second.
Down to turn 3, the matte black 5 car took a stab on the inside. No dice, can't make that pass. But I think as the race goes on and as these tires wear out, you will see some drivers start to flirt with that apron. It's been well documented here in the NASCAR series that drivers tend to use it. It de-wedges the car, helps it turn a little bit as Josh Robin goes for a slider into turn 1. Couldn't quite make a stick up the racetrack a little bit. Does not pass Ariotti just yet. This is for the 9th position on the racetrack.
Ariotti has been one of the best non-chase drivers over the last few weeks, as a matter of fact, but he's got some pressure now to the inside. Now that that door is open, Hallie Brisk going to try some new paint on that 97 here this week after he has been plagued with bad luck. Fell down to 10th in the standings. In fact, he gained a spot after Darlington last week, but he too is one of the many in the top 10 who has yet to find victory lane, trying to work the bottom side on Ariotti off of turn 2. And you see he goes about the lowest of anybody that lap there to utilize that shortcut to try to follow Josh Robin through after Robin opened the door and Brisk followed.
So Brisk gets on by that 23 car of Ariotti. A really good, he's had a pretty good season, I would say. A lot of really strong runs there for Ari. Oh, and he's going to give a shot in the shorts to Hallie Brisk. Did you see that lockup, that puff of smoke on the inside? 3 wide now, maybe out of turn 2 they sort it out, and they will, keep from going 3 wide, thankfully for now. That could have been rather disastrous if they had tried it. But that moves up Zoltan Hergzeg, now closer to the top 10. He's got one more car to pass before he cracks that top 10. And Eric, let's just be honest, not a great run for him at Darlington. Got into some adversity and seemingly let it get the best of him. Started wall riding in the worst of ways. It's not the kind of way that Kyle Larson did on the final lap. Definitely tore up his race car, dropped him further through the field. It was not a good day and likely spells the end of any championship hopes he may have had left.
While that finish between Daniel Falkingham and Chad Oxendine may have momentarily slipped my memory, I do recall Hergzeg having that bit of a rough patch there, which was kind of uncharacteristic for the driver who's normally and oftentimes mild-mannered and kind of puts himself in a situation where he does not have to get a little bit over-intensified by his running order and results. And I mean, considering the fact that he has truly had one of these best seasons of anybody this season, second only to Daniel Falkingham, 4 wins, 4 poles, looking for win number 5 on a year in which has been essentially dominated by one person. As a matter of fact, the wins have pretty much been hogged up by Falkingham and Hergzeg, but the last few weeks have not been what Hergzeg was looking for. His last victory came on the Super Speedway at Legacy Daytona, and of course, that is the way in which he thought he was going to kick off the chase with some momentum, but that has not been the story. And he is also on a bit of a comeback trail, 1 spot shy of the top 10 here, with 11 laps complete, getting ready to kick off lap number 12 with Falkingham holding serve at the front.
Yeah, we've only just gotten through lap 10, now lap 11, but it feels like we've been racing for a good couple of moments, doesn't it? I mean, we've been going for, I don't know. Well, the broadcast has been rolling for almost a half hour. It feels like we've been racing for at least 10 minutes, but it really has not been that. I mean, these laps are only 28 seconds apiece. It's only been maybe 6 minutes, if that. But it seems like it's gone on a little bit longer than that. That's what's good. That's what these drivers will have to contend with through the course of this race. Now on board with David Shutt. Obviously, they don't feel the heat here at Phoenix, but if they were racing here, well, in the middle of September, it'd be a lot warmer than this. 79 degrees is going to give them a track temp of 113. Still decently warm. I'm surprised it's that cool. I wonder if that's going to change throughout the course of the day. The in-sim start time for practice, 1 p.m., so we're looking at probably 2 or 3 currently.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting on a track that, even though, this version of Phoenix, they poured the new asphalt on it, I believe it was about 2011, 2012, as a matter of fact. So it's not the most aged surface like what we'll see when we go to Chicagoland next week on a venue that was not paved or reconfigured since its inception back in 2001. But it has the ability to kind of get slick and provide a little bit of a loose handling feeling for some of these cars, especially while sitting in the Arizona desert with the sun blazing cooling down on the track. So monitoring that track temperature and seeing how it correlates with the handle of these cars and the way in which they're driving it, of course. And we see Bobby Chaney there with a slight slip as he came out of turn 4 that time, with Jared Washon starting to apply some pressure. And Andrew, I want to shift gears a little bit. You mentioned Jared Washon, kind of a newcomer to NORC competition, but boy, has he been impressive. If we want to start trying to find ways to handicap the field for season 14, if Jared Washon is thinking about going full bore as far as NORC competition next season, I gotta handpick him as one of the ones to keep our eyes on, because his results has been impressive to kick off his NORC career.
And he's teammates with brand new driver Zach Lindgren. Both of these drivers rookies, and of course, Zach is working on completing his first full season, and this is not a full season for Jared Washon. However, these two Elite Motorsports drivers could be a serious duo to keep your eye on, as you mentioned, next season in Season 14, if they both return and in this capacity. This 27 car has been great, some fantastic results, a misstep or two along the way, but considering we've seen Zach go up there and contend for top 5s, a couple of podiums, and I don't think a win is too far-fetched for the 85 car. The fact that Jared Washon has only been better than that in these last few races that he's run, I believe outscoring the 85 car all but once, that potentially spells some pretty good things for Elite Motorsports next season if the number 27 returns. And right now, as he works on cracking the top 5, Jared Washon best think about returning. I mean, it's very, very good stuff so far out of that Ford Mustang. Rounding lap 17 to lap 16. We will go on to lap 17. No, we are rounding lap 17 on to lap 18. We'll figure it out one of these days. One of the other stat lines I want to keep everybody abreast of is the fact that this is only the second time that NORC has ever brought Xfinity cars to Phoenix Raceway. In 13 seasons of racing on iRacing, this is only the second time, think about that NORC has brought NASCAR Xfinity Series cars to Phoenix Raceway. The previous time was back in season number 2 or 3, was it? I gotta double check. But it was way back in the origins almost of this league, at least as far as iRacing goes. It was back in 2016. It was season 3. Bobby Zalenski won. It was 155 laps. That was on the legacy scan of Phoenix. This is the first time NORC has brought these specific cars to this specific racetrack.
Very unique. And, the talking point we've had for most of the season, while we may have a fight for second starting to materialize, is that's David Schutt having a peak down low. Just behind him, Jared Washon has finally gotten under Bobby Chaney. But this style of car, we talked about, that was close. I thought Washon was going to get in the back of Chaney there going into turn 1. We talked about the fact that this is going to be one of the last driver tracks, I would say, of this season, with Chicagoland and Vegas coming up. But it's not going to be the same style of racing that we would see on the sim with the Cup car. These cars have a little bit less downforce. They require a little bit more maneuverability inside the cockpit to get them around the racetrack as fast as humanly possible. But even with these Xfinity cars on this type of racetrack and layout, it's certainly a different feel and different test as opposed to what they may experience in a Cup machine, as Washon makes that move on Bobby Chaney. So that's one of the things, Andrew, that sold me about this series when we kicked it off all the way back at the beginning of the season at Daytona, was the versatility that is essentially required by you to be a NORC participant, being able to adapt and excel in all types of stock car vehicles on the sim. And this year it happened to be the Xfinity car, and it has not disappointed despite the fact that Falkingham's had such a dominant year.
And let's just be clear, this is a fantastic driver's car. Even if you tune into Door Bumper Clear, Freddie Kraft, TJ Majors, Brett Griffin, they all admit that the NASCAR Xfinity Series car is a driver's car right now, especially compared to the NASCAR Cup car. It's going to be a car that lengthens the field out a little bit, just like some tracks will lengthen the field out a little bit. That doesn't mean it's bad racing. It's been fantastic all season long here in Season 13. It just tends to be a little bit more spread out, and, well, the cream rises to the top. On the other side of that coin, I want to make sure that we are clear about this. We don't know what cars NORC is bringing for Season 14. Obviously, there's that bit of rotation. We've talked about it some this season, where they go from Cup cars to trucks to Xfinity cars, and they've even thrown in the NASCAR 1987 Cup cars, but we don't know what they're running next season just yet. While we can compare it to a Cup car, we don't know if they're going to run Cup or maybe even the next-gen cars or trucks. We don't know yet. We'll find out, I'm sure, in due time over the winter. all we can do is sit and wait and be excited potentially for what these drivers will bring to the table next year in 2022. Meanwhile, this battle is shaping up as Bobby Chaney continues to drop through the field. Here comes Brett Pancari up underneath the inside of the 24 car. 35 going to try and pass for 6th. Not that quite that time, as you can see on all matte black, number 74 for John Barry. Not sure the reasoning for the all matte black 74 car, but it's starting to move its way through the field.
I saw Barry there flirting with the outside of 3 and 4, which it seems like with this design and this layout of Phoenix that you might be able to make that outside lane work on that side of the racetrack a little bit better or a little bit earlier than what you may see in turns 1 and 2. So, and Barry's going to do it again. Look at this here. We saw Pancari take the shortcut on the back straightaway, and Barry's going to run that high side trying to keep the momentum up and get the fender outside of Pancari, and that is perfection. Forces Pancari to have to pedal it off the corner so he doesn't wash up into Barry, and that's also a lot of respect by Brett there to allow the opportunity for Barry to get by cleanly without contact. A little bit later in the race, we may have saw them bounce off one another, but this early on, John Barry's working that high side, and he's working it well.
This is now a 5-car battle as Josh Robin is slinging it down into the corner. He was sideways into turn 1 last time through. Now sideways again into turn number 3. And you can see right behind him, Zoltan Herczeg has finally cracked the top 10. Look at how sideways he gets out of the corner. Now these drivers have complained a lot this season about how the cars drive. And sure, they may not like it because it's not going to handle good necessarily, but it doesn't need to. I think a stock car is supposed to handle like a bit of a box. Those old Hudson Hornets and such, those old coupes that used to run back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, they didn't handle good by any means. So when a car handles bad, that's usually what's going to give you good racing.
And it's starting to evolve into a form in which we can see these drivers having to work really, really hard. And it's creating that comer and goer effect that we've become so accustomed to seeing in these NORC events and on our broadcast here on Pit Stop TV. And one of the cars that's struggling is Bobby Chaney. We mentioned how he had perhaps his best qualifying effort of the season. We'll have to go back and double-check the stat book there, but started 4th on the outside of row 2, and he started to slip back a little bit, currently holding down 6th, but that train of cars is looking for a way by. Wow, John Barry got really close to the left rear quarter panel of Chaney off 4 and had to lift and concede the spot for the time being, or at least concede his effort to try to take the spot away, but this is stacking everybody back up here. We said Phoenix races like a short track. This is one of those visual points as Chaney is starting to back everybody up here to this 5-car freight train.
And let's also consider the battle here between John Barry and Zoltan Herczeg. They entered this race only 2 points apart, Eric. That's for second place in the championship. John Barry currently outscoring Zoltan Herczeg would move him into second in the championship. The fact that we're thinking about that timeline is pretty crazy as these two drivers up the racetrack. What are you doing? Zoltan Herczeg puts Josh Robin in the fence, and Josh is going to be none too pleased with that.
We're going to mark that down on our notes here, that on lap number 30, car 8 and car number 96 have it coming together. We'll see if they find themselves in and around each other at some point, because that cost Robin a couple of spots here and may have given him some damage. Let's go back here and have another look at that. I've caught the tail end of it there after both cars were already way up the racetrack. Fortunate they were able to keep it pointed in the right direction, but a lot of bobbing and weaving there. Robin was trying to put a block there on Herczeg, who then went full send. Robin tried to come back on the outside. They touched again, and it's Robin who had light contact with the outside retaining wall, but that little bit of a feud there may not be done yet. If this race continues to unfold and they could find each other around one another yet again, that was a little wild here for this early in the race.
Here's the rest of that story. We came in a little bit late the first time. You can see the 96 goes to the inside, and there was only a bit of a block attempt, but those two both getting loose. It seems like it's doing that kind of classic monster trucking thing that these cars have done recently, and I'm sure anybody more familiar with the sim would know exactly what I'm talking about, where when you turn to the right, it tends to just hike up the right front and do a bit of monster trucking with that corner of the car. The left side digs in, and suddenly you're completely out of control. That seems to be the issue for these drivers right now, so it's hard to make those right corrections, especially when you come out of turn 4 and you're sideways. You're looking at the inside wall, and that's very common here at Phoenix, especially out of turn 4. You tend to get loose, so you have to make those corrections. Seems like they're having trouble doing so when they do have to, as you can see Ariati doing what I mentioned earlier, way down onto the apron. It seems like when these drivers have to make those corrections, they're just getting all kinds of out of control. That's going to be something to watch throughout the rest of this race. Howie Briss takes a look to the inside, takes a peek to the inside as Zoltan Herzeg, the 96 up the racetrack. No contact there, but Howie Briss certainly wants that spot.
According to our timing and scoring ticker, Josh Robin has put that car on pit lane and has fallen a lap down. Not sure if he came in to fix damage, perhaps, or yes, he's going to rejoin the field. We'll have to see where he blends up in the pack. In reference to that of Herzeg here, because he had to make a pit stop here relatively early in this race after that contact. But fortunately for him, he remains the first car 1 lap down, so we'll be hoping for a caution as we go back to this, one of the best battles on the racetrack for 8th on back. Briss using the high line, Ariati trying to get a little bit lower, get some clean air on the nose of that Supra as he continues to try to size up Briss with, we got a newcomer coming to the mix in Zach Lindgren. That car did not lay down a time in qualifying. Lindgren has been one of the hottest drivers in the NORC field of late, nailing down some solid results, comes in tonight 8th in championship points, and he has chased down this group here and is watching Ariati try to make a move here and slide up in front of Howie Briss. Lindgren's going to have a great run out of 2.
And a lot of Zach's current standing in the series, if you will, influenced by last week's run that, well, never really was a run at Darlington as Ariati makes the pass there on Howie Briss. Howie thinks about the outside, lets him have it, concedes that spot, and now opens the door for Zach Lindgren potentially down to turn 1. But Zach just didn't get a chance to run last week. He ended up running 6 laps down all night long. Just the way things went. I mean, let's be honest, the way things went with work specifically. Got him home a little bit late. Wasn't able to get into the race what he wanted, but we have a battle for the race lead and a pass for the race lead as Chad Oxendine takes it to the outside, goes around Daniel Falkingham, and how about that? A new race leader on lap 37 on lap 38. Let's take a look at it.
One of the big stories in all these NORC races this season has been who's got a good car on the long run. And Chad Oxendine, who was back about 0.8 of a second off the backside of Daniel Falkingham, was able to chase him down, get to the outside, squeeze to the outside on the exit of turn 2, where oftentimes you do not have the advantage there on that portion of the racetrack. Kept the nose outside, Falkingham sliding his way through on the inside, and Oxendine perfecting that outside move to take the top spot away on the exit of the corner and cement the lead.
So that's how it happened. Now let's check the result of it. Daniel Falkingham dropping to about 2/10 in just a lap or so behind Chad Oxendine. You can see where these drivers sit now as we come around to complete lap number 39 and take lap number 40. What a big pass that time for Oxendine. You can see shot a little sideways out of the corner. How about TCB as well? There have been a few driver tracks where this guy has just excelled. This is one of them. I also think of course, Indianapolis, where he almost won the dang thing. He has done really good on some of these tracks you might not usually think of as in TCB's wheelhouse. Of course, usually you would think of iRacing Superspeedway, Talladega Superspeedway, Daytona International Speedway, tracks like that. But this season, it's been more so Indianapolis, Phoenix, and a few others that have really just, I guess, tickled Terrell's fancy, doing really good so far, P4.
Now, you took the words out of my mouth there as far as citing his performance in Indianapolis, and that might have been the turning point for TCB on his season. And granted, you don't want to hear that your season is starting to turn for the better in round 19 like what it was at Indy, but it certainly seemed to spark a bit of extra pace in the driver who we hear from coming to the green of every NORC race that we house here on Pit Stop TV. And I mean, you look at the pace here. I mean, these drivers are all running within a second of the leader. The top 4 are. So obviously the leader is in that mix as well here, but second, third, and fourth are all keeping it pretty close and pretty even keel for the most part. And Baker perhaps just needs a little bit of track position if the opportunity should present itself, because he's pressuring Schutt quite heavily for that third spot in 3.
Yeah, I mean, he is there. He is on the back end of that black Supra, number 5. And actually, that's one of 2 big switches to Toyotas this week that I've noticed. There's no performance difference between these cars here on iRacing, and ideally there aren't in the real world either. But I've noticed 2 drivers now in David Schutt and Zoltan Herzeg making the switch from Chevrolet Camaros over to Toyota Supras. Interesting that they've done that. I know Cole Freilich, when he makes his next start in the series, is planning to return in a Supra as well. So a few Chevrolet drivers late in this season switching over to the Supra. Wonder why. Don't really know. And you know what? To add on to that, Tommy Gossett has gone from a Chevrolet Camaro to a Ford Mustang recently. He ran the Mustang last week at Darlington as opposed to the Camaro that he sported for the rest of the season. So interesting things like that changing up later in the season as the season rolls on. John Barry's still working here on Bobby Chaney. Has not made that work just yet. We talked about it earlier, Eric. The 24ers holding these guys up, it's worked quite nicely. In fact, you've seen now this battle is split up into a couple of different battles. Zoltan Herczeg, Ariati, and Zach Lindgren falling back a little bit. Howie Brisk continues his slide. He's down to 12th. And Cody Miller now is leading a bit of a pack further back with Sean Williams and Spencer Owens. Here are these few drivers. And Spencer Owens in an interesting paint scheme. I know sometimes he accidentally leaves a paint scheme on for an extra week or whatever. It seems like he has forgotten to take off the Baby Doge Brandon Brown machine.
A beautiful looking ride, might I add, for the most part here. But of course, the number is not going to match what we have on our timing and scoring tickers. So we'll try to remind our viewers of that as well here as this fight is going to start to materialize for the 14th spot. But Spencer is someone who has been a bit of a staple on the NORC slate this season. However, I know that he's not been able to make all the races. In fact, only 17 of the rounds he's been able to partake in have been counted towards his championship season. And he's also only been able to muster up 3 top 10s so far this season. So looking for a 4th if he can mind his manners and make it towards the end of this race. But hard to believe, Andrew, that we're coming up on being about a third of the way through this thing already with no yellow flags. Now, I've been the king of the announcer jinx so far, and as close as TCB and David Shutt are running right now, we may see our first caution here pretty soon if they don't get off one another, as Baker's got to run off the quarter.
It's funny you mentioned the potential of going caution-free as TCB down to the inside of David Shutt. That was his best look at third position so far. Slides up the racetrack after that shallow entry and will have to regroup. Now, I mentioned the fact that you brought up going caution-free potentially. That has happened once before here at Phoenix in NORC competition back in Season 10 when Zoltan Herczeg grabbed his lone Phoenix win here in the NORC iRacing Series. Chad Oxendine is also on here. He won last season with 2 laps left after starting 8th. The point being, that was the most recent Phoenix race after their worst Phoenix race, if you will. So that kind of weird to say, I guess. But Season 8, these guys had 18 cautions. Season 10, they had 0 cautions. Also worth noting, since Season 10, this race has been scheduled to go 150 laps. So if you're the Matthew Kowal out there, or any of the other professionals here with the NORC iRacing Series, this will be interesting for you. Since Season 10, this race has been scheduled for 150 laps. It's only gone that distance once. That was in Season 10 when it went caution-free. If this race goes caution-free, Eric, we're talking about only the first time that a race distance has been repeated here in the NORC iRacing Series at Phoenix Raceway. 100 laps in Season 2, then 155, then 156, then 140, then 150, then 152, and 154 most recently in Season 12. That is a very interesting, a crazy stat in my mind as we have a battle towards the back end of the top 10.
Well, before I go any further, I will say whoever heads up the stat department at Pit Stop TV deserves a raise, because that is some incredible numerology you were able to put together in preparation for this race. And it truly does measure up the historic element of the NORC iRacing Series and just how much they've been going at it here. And speaking of the NORC iRacing Series, how about one of the men responsible for heading this series up, who is on the pit lane, John Berry, perhaps starting the ripple effect here, maybe, of the first round of pit stops at the 1/3 distance mark. The driver who's 3rd in points, looking for his first win of the season, the first to hit the pit lane here in that matte black number 74 car, and he does so out of a top 10 running position at the time. So Mark Berry down is one of the first ones to stop. Josh Robin is hoping that he cycles up to be the first car 1 lap down in the event the caution will fly, and he will pass Berry for the time being. But John Berry on the pits lane here. I don't know, Andrew, is this a little bit too early, or is he just trying to get off strategy? What do you think?
I think this fits right in for a 2-stop strategy. Now these drivers may go to lap 75 and try and make it a 1-stop, but if you're making a 2-stop strategy, of course, it splits it up into 3 equal parts, and lap 50, 51 is when you come in. So if you're going for that strategy, that seems about right, but Phoenix has been certainly host to a lot of fuel mileage, a lot of strategy races in the past, especially when you go this length green flag. So the fact that we're considering the 1-stop, I think, is rather on key for Phoenix. I think these drivers can certainly go to lap 75 or at least close to it. A bit of fuel saving will certainly help them, and we could be talking about a fuel mileage race here at Phoenix.
And I'm a little bit old school. I love single car qualifying.
Whoa!
I love fuel mileage races, as that's Herczeg, who has a big slide getting on the pit lane there. The question now becomes, was he going too fast?
Unfortunately, that is a question that I don't have the answer to just yet. Obviously, we'll find out here in a moment. Now, if service begins immediately, we can assume that maybe not. And the right side does go up, but obviously he could be held on the back end of the pit stop. I actually don't recall which end you get held on. Now, Zach Lindgren is also in the pit lane. You saw Bobby Chaney entering the pit lane in front of Zoltan Herczeg. Here comes the 75 car. Let's go back to the number 96. He is exiting the pit lane. No penalty there for Zoltan. What a save in that case.
He got that thing woed up just in time as he was following Bobby Chaney onto the pit lane here, and they're going to blend up here with some of the front runners. And now the point leader, the 9-time winner on the season, Daniel Falkingham, is on the pit lane here in a Chevy Camaro. He's going to try to get off strategy here and perhaps maybe try to use, I'll use an open wheel term, the undercut opportunity here to see if he could catch and overtake Oxendine, who was nursing a lead of under 1 second at the time that Falkingham pitted out of P2. So he will hit his box here for his stop. And we'll see the right side go up here as he starts to take on tires. The question now becomes, when will Oxendine elect to pit? And as we've got the other drivers who are running up in the top 4, David Shutt and TCB on the pit lane running side by side as Baker tried to press Shutt as hard as he could on entry, and they'll drag race their way to their respective pit boxes.
Problem for TCB here is David Shutt can go further in the pit lane. I think TCB is starting to realize that. Has to check up behind David Shutt and give up some of the time he just gained. He's into his box safely along with the 5 car of Shutt. You also saw how he brisk pitting in the distance behind those drivers. Here comes the number 97 sporting the Tony Stewart throwback. Love that paint scheme as well. That is straight up childhood for me personally. I know I'm a little bit younger than some others that might be watching, but that is childhood for me personally. Chad Oxendine continues to lead. It's lap 58 of 150, and pit stops in full force. So these drivers looking like they might not go for that one stop, but if anybody is going to go for that one stop, it's likely going to be Brett Pincari here in the 3rd position now in front of Ariati. We've seen him go for fuel mileage races before. In fact, that's how he collected his first win in the NORC Racing Series back at Auto Club earlier this season. This might be the other race where he tries to go for it.
And I feel like if you're going to try to go on that one-stop strategy, and let's not act all that surprised. I know I was touting it earlier that we've gone caution-free up to this point in the race, about to work lap number 60. We're inching closer to that halfway mark in about 15 laps or so. But I throw this stat out there oftentimes, especially because Andrew, you and the stat team are able to keep track of some of the caution numbers that we see. But the ones that stick out right off the jump, you know, Indianapolis, Dover, even Darlington, normally places where you see things get ugly relatively quickly and often. We've seen low caution counts as Josh Robin has a bit of a moment. Now we're going to see these fresh tires of Bobby Chaney and Herczeg try to thread the needle here on that fresh rubber. But we've seen yellow flag numbers down on tracks where you would think we would have problems as Josh Robin is in a 4-wheel slide.
What a save. You don't learn that from driving tractors up in the Dakotas. I'm not sure how he made that one work. Well, he's drifting at this point, and let's be honest, NORC drivers, they have some fun. You guys see it on the NORC channel with the NORC radioactives that come out after each race. This is likely a case of Josh Robin having some fun. Now, while he may be having fun now, if he brings out a yellow, I mean, you can see he's going to the corner sideways each time. While he's having fun now, this could negatively impact the rest of the field, in which case it's no longer very fun.
I mean, right now we've got the field pretty much split on pit strategy. The entire top 10 has yet to stop. Then, and in fact, we'll make that 10 of the top 11 as Robin continues to burp the back tires while going full send-off in the corner. Remember, he pitted on lap 30 after the dust-up with he and Zoltan Herczeg. But a caution of this nature would certainly, you know, kind of wrinkle things up here as far as the objective of the drivers running in the top 8 spots. So if I'm Robin, granted the eye candy is certainly fun to see, but if he was to overcook it too far and force the sim to pop a yellow, that's going to certainly mix things up here in terms of strategy. While Falkingham, who is the highest running driver to have stopped us so far, is running in 9th.
And this is shaping up a little bit like Indianapolis, where Falkingham is just going to go ahead, stick to the normal strategy, pit a couple of times, and he isn't going to worry about stretching the fuel, where we might see drivers ahead of him stretch fuel and he may go up there and pass them before a lot of them end up coming into pit. So we'll see how this ends up evening out. Currently, he's in P9, chasing down Sean Williams. He's got 5 more seconds to go to the driver out of Wilmington, North Carolina, in the number 89 car. I'm not sure if he's going to get there before Sean ends up pitting, but he's certainly working his way through this field. Patrick Colby is dropping further on back. He has just lost positions to, looks like, Terrell Baker. He's just gone 1 lap down as well. You can see our race leader, Chad Oxendine, in the picture. Meanwhile, David Schutt was in front of Sheldon Lockie, and he's going to bring TCB along with right on by that 69 car. So if you're Patrick Colby and Sheldon Lockie, I think this might be when you go ahead and pit. Once you go a lap down, this strategy it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think that would be a great observation on your end there. And I also think that by the end of this night, David Schutt as well as TCB are going to be best friends because they have been glued together for all 66 laps of this race, or so it seems. And they continue to run separated by about a car length off the corner. And I'm still not quite sure who has the better car at this point. I think Baker, once he gets some laps on the tires, he's a tick quicker. But, you know, the old racing cliche, catching him one thing, passing him is another. And I think there's a lot of respect between these two. And we talked about subplots, Andrew. I mean, David Schutt won the NORC version of the Indianapolis 500 in a NORC-style finish. It was a thriller, but he's yet to go to victory lane on the stock car side here in this slate, despite being top 5 in the points. I'm certain that Schutt wants to find victory lane before the season is out. He knows that he only's got 3 more opportunities left to get that done, so trying to fend off TCB as we watch Robin continue to skate that car behind him. But trying to fend off TCB here, even though it may seem like that it's not an imperative fight for position just yet, according to Schutt, I'm sure it is, because that's 1 spot more that he would have to, or 1 spot less he would have to make up here if he wants to try to get to victory lane.
And David Schutt is in a pretty prime opportunity to move up and potentially battle for that 2nd spot in the standings. John Barry is his other main combatant, along with Zoltan Hergzeg. But Zoltan Hergzeg, of course, not having a great evening. He's mired currently in 15th spot as, Josh Robin, it's getting closer and closer! I mean, eventually it's got to give, right? You can't do this forever. This is a lot like Zoltan Hergzeg last week. It's cool a couple of times, it's funny a couple of times, but eventually it's going to go too far. Maybe there, no.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if that's your agenda, just head on out of the session, go to a practice round, and have some fun by yourself. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure of why you would do this during an official race where there's so much on the line, and pit strategy is still kind of, up in the air right now, and I love a lot of these guys off the racetrack, and I can go off script, if you will, but every now and then seeing somebody have a little bit of fun or step over the line from time to time, it's cool. But when it goes on for this long, and if for some reason, first off, I admire the racecraft. I can never do that in a sim. That's why he's in NORC and I'm not. But nevertheless, at some point, you got to kind of switch it back over to taking things a little bit more seriously here out of respect to the competition of the guys and gals who are really investing a lot of time to try to put together a solid result on a night like tonight. And you don't want to have to overcook your boundary here on your level of fun like Robin's doing right now and really just throw a grenade in the entire race. As we're starting to hit that window here where some of these guys may be able to make it on 1 stop. Lap 71, Jared Wishon on the pit lane. Oxendine, Ariotti, Cody Miller still on the racetrack, as is Justin Gable, although Falkingham has moved his way up into 5th on the racetrack. I believe Spencer Owens is also on that same pit strategy here.
So this is the true undercut of undercuts right here. Daniel Falkingham still has 17 seconds up to the race leader. That's not so much an undercut. What is Jared Rashawn undercutting Chad Oxendine by about 4 laps or more. So the 66 may have to respond here rather quickly. He may not have to. We'll see exactly what the 66 does as Oxendine is going to round turn 4 one more time and stay on the speedway. So he's going to go for at least 1 more lap. The goal here is certainly to get to lap 75, but if you feel you've got enough fuel or have saved enough fuel or can save enough fuel, obviously you can pit a little bit earlier, pit a little bit later. So in this case, it clearly seems that Jared Rashawn feels he's good enough to go the rest of the distance on 1 more stop and is ready to go ahead and take that stop, undercut, get better tires, run faster lap times. Now the difference in those lap times, Eric, is going to be likely a second at least. Jared Rashawn, his fastest time is a 28.0. The last time for Chad Oxendine, a 29.4. We'll see exactly what Will Shawn is able to do as he comes across the line this time. It should be a full flying lap.
The astonishing element of what Chad Oxendine has been able to do here tonight was that he drove up to and passed Daniel Falkingham for the lead on the racetrack, and has been able to nurse enough fuel to get him to what is about to be the halfway point of this race. We talked about the fact that it's Chad's birthday. He's been on a bit of a roll lately, trying to get up to second in championship points. But this performance here, if he could cycle through this pit stop, I think he's going to be certainly in the catbird position should the yellow flag not fly. I think either way, though, at this point, whether it comes out now before he pits or shortly thereafter, Chad's looking to be in a really good spot here for the finish of this race. Is pretty much everybody else, minus those on the same strategy like Ariotti, Brett Brancari, and Wishan, they've made their bed. They've got to stop at least once more here. And I think Chad is putting himself in the premier position while this fight continues to fade between Shutt and Baker.
Oh, TCB, where are you going, buddy? Way down to the bottom side of the racetrack. He has pitted already. I think that was the car getting away from him. What a catch down on the inside, down on the apron. These drivers have raced up to 5th spot, and in fact, they're trying to work around Cody Miller. This is for position, oddly enough. Cody Miller is now in 7th as Baker noses ahead, and Justin Gable there also for position, because these drivers in Gable and Miller have not pitted yet, whereas Baker has. So the fact that these two drivers have run, well, these three, I guess, including Falkingham, have almost run back up to their positions before the pit stops is pretty incredible. Also, it's seeming like, well, here we go. Cody Miller and Justin Gable are going to pit this time. Here come those two drivers. And it looks like Miller misses the cone. I think iRacing may still allow that, but may also give a unsafe pit entry penalty to the number 28. The thing that I was trying to bring up here has actually escaped my mind. Where was I going with things? Eric, can you help me? I don't know. Where was I going with things?
Unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure, but I do know where I want to go with things, and that's the fact that how is Chad Oxendine still on the racetrack right now? It looked like Cody Miller said, hey, we're halfway, I'm good, I'm going to come in for service. Chad's saying, nope, I'm going to stay out as long as I possibly can.
That's where I was going to go with things. These drivers may not have to save fuel. We don't really know. I'm not in the car. I don't know exactly what these drivers have. And, of course, it's hard to say based on a few practice laps and set up cameras. So these drivers may be entirely good to say lap 80 on fuel, and they're only pitting earlier for tires. That may be why Oxendine is opting to go later. And, of course, just like you can speed up right after the pit stop and shorten the amount of time on old tires earlier on. If you overcut, you can shorten up the amount of time on old tires later on in the race, so you can have better tires when it matters coming up to the checkers if this race goes green. So in the case of Chad Oxendine, where you're already a sitting duck because of the undercut from Wishan potentially, and certainly the pit strategy from Daniel Falkingham, I really like this move as Ariotti is going to come down the pit lane.
Ariotti is going to be one of the remaining front runners who's yet to stop, and Kari remains on the racetrack, and I think Oxendine may or may not be coming at some point soon, as he is, we saw there visually, and here he comes, I believe, yes, we've got Chad Oxendine coming down onto the pit lane now, lap 80. We saw there he got passed by Cody Miller, who just stopped, and we saw the benefits there of those fresh tires, and Bancari's going to follow. So this should take us through a complete cycle of pit stops, even though it took about 30 laps to get through it entirely. So the good news is, Andrew, I think that we're now going to see this kind of swing as Falkingham goes to the lead, but all those guys who just stopped, like Oxendine, Pancari, and company, Ariotti as well, I think we're going to see them now have the big speed advantage with the fresher tires, and the question is, do they have enough time to get up there and race their way up there, or will we see Falkingham elect to stop in, let's call it about 20 laps or so, should he stay on an even keel two-stop strategy?
Patrick Colby pitting in the distance, and this is going to feed out a lot like I believe Kentucky also did earlier in the season, where you have this split strategy of drivers trying to lengthen and minimize their time on pit lane, and drivers just going ahead and saying, screw it, I'm going to abuse the tires and use all the time I've got. So we're going to see how this split strategy works out here in a few. And, as far as how they sort out for now, in the short term, Oxendine keeps himself in the top 10. He is behind Jared Wishan, so even a 10-lap undercut, you can see what it's done there. 4 or 5 seconds difference from Jared Wishan to Chad Oxendine as Oxendine gets back on the speedway. While these drivers sort out, we're going to go side by side. You won't miss a thing. Enjoy these messages from our partners here at Pit Stop TV.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Phoenix Raceway. A lot of cars zipping on by us here on the front stretch, going by our speed shot. We're quite some ways into this race. It's lap 89 now of 150. There's a lot going on. A little bit of a gap here. I'm kind of surprised with this little bubble. Here comes Sheldon Lockie. Look how sideways he gets out of turn 4. That is one of our biggest storylines this evening, getting loose at a turn 4. We're trying to correct the car and how that's going to affect battles throughout the course of the race. We've seen it with Terrell Baker. We've seen it with Zoltan Herzeg, Josh Robin, and so many others. They continue to just get so close to that wall. And look at this. Here comes a 3-wide battle. Teammates going at it, along with Bobby Chaney. Zach Lindgren gives that spot up to his teammate Jared Wishon, and now Wishon going to take a crack at the 24 car.
I know that we feel like we just finished up with a round of pit stops, but the reality is we may be about 10 laps away from seeing another wave kickoff for those who are on that 2-stop strategy. So Wishon's going to take that spot from Chaney in the battle for 7th with authority, and that checks up Chaney perhaps enough to allow Wishon's teammate Zach Lindgren to get up into the mix, although he doesn't get the best launch off turn 4. And as this race continues to go on and these drivers are on these differing tire strategies for the most part, we're starting to see a little bit more slipping and sliding take place, especially on corner exit, while, no surprise here, car 5 and 25 locked together at the hip yet again in what is now a fight for second.
They're not the only ones doing battle. I know it's Justin Gable and Cody Miller are going at it down at turn number 1. Gable going to get the best of Daytona winner, Cody Miller, in the number 28 car, who drops down now into the 14th position. Now, something I talked about in our little group chat ahead of this race, Eric, is something we put together here with the cameras at Phoenix. And I've been lucky enough personally to go to a couple of Phoenix races. I know how cool it is to sit in the stands and watch a NASCAR race here. Let's take a look now from some of the fan perspectives around the racetrack. Now, these first two, I can tell you, they are places right about where I've sat here at Phoenix in this configuration. This one is about like if you had a motorhome on the back stretch, looking at the dogleg, pretty solid view. And into turns 3 and 4, this is from Rattlesnake Hill, right up in the Estrella Mountains. This is really cool, watching the action go down from Rattlesnake Hill.
Your work never ceases to amaze me, man. I too had the opportunity to go to Phoenix a couple of times. Once for a Cup race. In fact, it was the Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick photo finish one, and I also went to one of the last IndyCar races that was held here when Robert Wickens was passed late by Joseph Newgarden to take the win there. And both times I sat in turn 2, always wondered what it would be like to be on that inside of the dogleg here, and even up on Rattlesnake Hill, where the television cameras are usually able to capture all the people who are hanging out, camping, and enjoying what is normally a pretty warm desert day, but also enjoying the on-track activity. And thanks to your masterful work with the camera optics and such leading into our broadcast, I can kind of get a feel of what it seems like. And maybe I'll switch up my plans next time I head out west for a race and in terms of where I want to sit back, relax, and enjoy it, because you've given me a whole new perspective of it. And it's a unique way to see how these NORC competitors are working their way around this tough 1 mile venue.
Yeah, it's cool to sit up in the stands and see what it might look like. And obviously, it's a little bit different now. They don't have the stands on what is now the back stretch, what was the front stretch, and is currently the front stretch here on iRacing. And the stands are a bit more built up around old Turn 2 and new Turn 4, but it's still mostly the same. You still get a lot of the same scenics, especially here from Rattlesnake Hill. And it's funny you mentioned specifically Rattlesnake is one of the places you'd love to watch from. Here's a camera from atop Rattlesnake Hill, and I believe this might also be, or at least one of the peaks nearby to I believe, Estrella Mountain Peak that was used for surveying down south in Arizona way back in the 1800s. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that from there, but this area at least holds some significance around Phoenix Raceway down in Avondale. As far as significance within the race currently, well, Terrell Baker still all over David Shutt, and guys, this is for second now on the racetrack. With the pit strategy, with the fact that Chad Oxendine went ahead and pitted, oh, this is something, turning me into a, I don't know, I wouldn't call that singing, but certainly something, as, I mean, they just keep getting so close to each other's bumpers into the corner.
Hope that makes NORC radioactive. That was awesome. But what's also awesome is how TCB appears to be entering the corner with, I would say little to no care, but we'll say he's throwing caution to the wind as far as how close he wants to get to that Toyota logo square on the back bumper of David Shutt's car, because we've seen him seemingly come close to tapping the back end of that 5 on a number of occasions. And as we get towards the final 1/3 distance mark of this race, I think Baker may try to push a little bit harder. This is happening, though, about 4 seconds behind our leader, Falkingham, but with the split pit strategy, we believe that the top 3 may have to stop at least once more, while Oxendine is able to prove that he could make it to the end, or perhaps I think it would take a little bit of magic, or perhaps maybe a stretch for about 15 or 20 laps or so. Maybe these guys can make it towards the end, but I don't think so. I think they'd be about 10 or 15 laps short, even if they were trying to save towards the end here. But that's the beauty of this race staying green, Andrew. We got strategies all over the place with these guys.
And one of those big strategies is right here at the number 66 car of Chad Oxendine, leading the pack as far as drivers who split this race in half and are going for that one-stop strategy. You can see him working his way through turn 2 now and onto the back stretch, through the dogleg and down to turn 3 momentarily. He sits now in 4th, 10 seconds back of Falkingham. He is going to continue closing. In fact, now it's inside at 10, working about 9 and change, and it varies, certainly, depending on where these guys are on the racetrack. He is still lapping 3/10 a second, 3/10 a lap, I should say, faster than Daniel Falkingham. However, Falkingham has to pit. We'll see. I think at this point it's looking like Falkingham might have the upper hand here. Consider it. I mean, it's still 9.5 seconds right now. We expect Falkingham in at any point in time. Yes, he will lose most of a lap, but he's only going to have to make up about 20 seconds or so. Lapping a second a lap quicker to start out, he's absolutely going to make that up, I think.
And just to update a couple things we were following earlier, Josh Robin, after getting up into the wall and drifting his way around, it appears as though he's called to the night. He's shown 32 laps down. Patrick Colby, only car more than 1 lap down. How about Zoltan Herczeg? Sheldon Lucky has a bit of a moment there down in turn 1.
Zoltan just pitted.
Yeah, Herczeg actually stopped here. That pass on Lockie was for position, so Herczeg... Caution! Caution for the first time of the night! Yellow lights are on.
You're not going to like what it is. David Shutt. David Shutt in some big trouble. What a race he was having with Terrell Baker. This contact means that Terrell Baker's going to have some damage. Let's go back and take a look at things. It looks as if Cody Miller gets involved. Now, I don't want to point fingers just yet. We haven't seen how this goes. But Cody Miller's a lap car in this situation. On better tires, sure. But he's a lap car, battling 2nd and 3rd in the race. You guys, you watch Radioactive. You guys out in the chat, you watch Radioactive. You hear the happenings, the antics, the banter. I wouldn't be surprised if Cody Miller goes a little bit too hard right here into 3 and 4 and potentially helps at least catalyze this. And, TCB got to him a little bit there. There's the contact that starts all of this. A little bit of two drivers getting into each other. Again, I feel it was a lap car. Maybe that's a little bit unnecessary.
Boy, Justin Gable did a great job to get through there on the outside. He got very lucky that when TCB, Miller, and Shutt all kind of had that coming together off the corner, that the outside lane was opened up for Justin Gable to get on through. But I'm with you, Andrew. I'm not necessarily sure. I know that Miller pitted kind of late in the last cycle, so I know he had a little bit better tires than these two, but knowing what's at stake, especially with the fact that Shutt is 5th in points, and just, you know, you get back to the gas here. At some point, you got to acknowledge the fact that maybe you got to lift, although, man, it's so close. And here's Gable squeezing by on the outside, but that onboard look that we had there, it made it look like a little bit more of a racing incident as far as real estate on the racetrack. But knowing what's at stake between Shutt and TCB, I'm not sure that I would have wanted to throw my hat into that fight, at least not at that point in the race.
Well, throw all strategy out the window here, guys. It's all done. These drivers can go to the end from here, as we've found out. Bobby Chaney, the first off the pit lane, and it looks like he does not make stop. He just visited the pit lane and rolled on through. So still old tires on that 24. He's going to come in this time, it looks like, I think, trying to stay out and see if he can get a lap led, but it's not going to happen for the driver of the 24. As far as Terrell Baker and Cody Miller and David Shutt, I think it is a racing incident at its core, but I think that could have been helped by either David Shutt or Cody Miller lifting there and giving a little more room to each other. That didn't have to happen with somebody that was lapped and somebody that was running second. That just didn't have to happen, and that's what I feel is more silly about it than anything. The second place car is now wrecked, and somebody that has had so many great runs throughout the season, I think at this point it's fair to say deserves a win. He doesn't deserve to be wadded up right now. That situation could have been helped by either party.
Yeah, but it's not your day. It's not your day, you know. And it appeared that Cody Miller was not having a great night. Granted, he wasn't out of it just yet with the way the cycle was gonna kind of flow through. But I'm with you. Discretion is a better part of valor in that set of circumstances. I harken it back to my limited experience on the sim, and I just felt that earning the respect of my peers, especially if they were oftentimes a little bit better than I was as far as pace, that always seemed to matter more to me than the potential result by me being a little bit too aggressive at a midway point of the race. So I wish that some of the drivers in the field here would prioritize that a little bit differently. You know, give the guys a little bit of room, and then when you are having a better day, and you are up in the mix with some of these guys who frequently run up front, they may be able to cut you some slack, or at least you'll have some leverage there if things don't happen to unfold the way in which you wanted to. But how about this, Andrew? That's our first yellow after the 2/3 mark here, and we've only had 2 lead changes, but I don't think that's indicative of how fun this race has been.
This has been a great race. It maybe hasn't always been super exciting for the lead. That's because of all the strategy that's been going on and the battles throughout the field, and there are a lot of lucky dogs as well. You can see them coming around now. A lot of lucky dogs. Look at how small the pacing field is right now. Half of the field was lapped and just got a lap back. So that brings a lot of drivers, in fact, back on the lead lap. We're now back up to 16 drivers in all that are on lap 107. We're coming to green to go ahead and take lap 108. Leader is Daniel Falkingham. Second place is Terrell Baker. And the Damage 25 sails off into turn number 1 in second. Down to turn number 3 from Rattlesnake Hill, you can see Zach Lindgren working on the outside of Jared Rashawn. A couple of teammates here deep inside the top 5. One of them the last car in the top 5, the other one wanting to be that last car in the top 5.
This battle is going to continue down in turn number 1 with Lindgren kind of pinned up to the high side. One thing here, you mentioned the damage that TCB has. It's pretty considerable. But he does appear to be able to keep pace with the race leader for the time being, while it's going to be Washawn getting the edge over Lindgren, with Ariadne now trying to work the high side. But this fight for the lead, the one thing I'm concerned about here as far as anybody being able to challenge Falkingham and prevent him from getting that 10th win of the season, if he should hold on for the remaining 41 laps or so, Chad Oxendine appeared to have a really good car on a longer run. He needs this thing to stay green, but TCB is not letting that damage slow him down. Look at him shortcut the back straightaway and try to get inside of Falkingham, but he's not quite there yet.
Who is there is Oxendine on the inside of John Barry. Barry fights back around that 66 car for the moment, but move Oxidine into third, I think, here in a few laps. And he was second for so long on that first run, eventually passing Falkingham, getting the race lead. What about lap 30? Lap 37, I think it was, when he finally got that lead. So I think it opens things up, but starting further back on this restart is going to hurt the 66. We'll see how it all works out. It's lap 111. We'll come around and start lap 112 momentarily, and the 25 is going to work on the 20.
I'm very impressed. Ooh, bobble there by Falkingham off the corner. I'm very impressed with Baker's ability to stay with the leader despite all that obvious damage on the front end by virtue of his involvement in the crash with David Shutt that put us under the sole yellow of this race. And look at how aggressively he's shortcutting this kink on the backstretch. He needs to blend up here, and he is alongside of Falkingham for the lead in 3.
He's there, fighting, still on that yellow line, still trying on the inside. Can't make it happen just yet. Falkingham has to go higher, gets a good run out of turn 4, holds on to that lead. John Berry now closing in on these drivers. It could be a 3-way, maybe a 4-way fight for the race lead. Let's not count out Jared Wishon. All of these drivers pictured here on our screen could go at it here within laps. Here comes Terrell Baker back to the inside. No dice there, not as close.
I love the willingness in terms of progression by TCB in order to try to put himself in a position to upset Falkingham's race car and get up off the bottom of the racetrack. The question is, how long can he do this? This is by far the best chance that TCB has had to get to victory lane so far this season. Is he going to let it slip away to a guy who may sew up the NORC Championship tonight? Or is he going to continue to do whatever it takes to get an opportunity as he exits your frame momentarily, blends back up into line before they get to turn 3, and he seems to be able to hook the apron a little bit better, but he's starting to push up off the corner. Falkingham gaps him by a car length.
And now John Berry is going to walk into this conversation vying for second on the racetrack and second in the championship. Here comes the 74 out of Kentucky down to the bottom side. The matte black Chevrolet gets on by the Chevrolet of TCB. Move John Berry up solidly into second spot. Is Terrell going to try the inside? He thought about it. He's still thinking, processing the opportunity. Sticks his nose down there, but it's not going to happen.
Here comes Oxendine now trying to work the top side. Remember, that's how he took the lead away from Falkingham earlier in this race. And he's trying to make the top lane work on Terrell Baker. But he's going to not have the preferred line as he goes into turn 1. He'll cut back to the inside. Jared Wishon with the better run off the corner. They all dart to the inside. And this fight is going to continue to rage on here for third on back. Wishon just looking for a pathway to get through.
Yeah, suddenly Wishon is more than just a top 5 contender. He might drive up into 4th, maybe even 3rd as this run goes on. The Elite Motorsports guys, they're looking good. 5th and 6th currently. One of the few properly formed up teams in this series. A lot of these guys, they've been friends for so long, going back to Xbox, NASCAR 09 and such, that they run. That's about it. They just race. These guys, though, Lindgren and Wishon, they're a team, as now Oxendine looks back to the inside, well, to the inside this time instead of the outside of Baker, and that's going to make him look like he's standing still.
This is where Oxendine wants to be, coming off the corner. Whoa, wasn't sure he was going to be clear of Baker that time. Baker with a slide of the back tires. Now Wishon tries to size him up, while John Berry has caught Falkingham up towards the front of the pack. Oxendine's trying to set sail and join them in a 3-car battle for the lead, with Wishon doing everything he can to try to get there as well. Wishon got to hope that his connections kind of stabilizes a little bit there. We've seen him flash in and out of our frame a couple of times tonight, and he's got the help of a teammate behind him. We're on board with Lindgren on the main straightaway, who's up to 6th spot now.
Zach is right on the back end of that 27 car into turn 1. A little bit of right front damage. You can just barely see it there on Wishon's machine if you look up far enough. And, oh, wow, TCB way down to the inside as per usual. Still working that bottom. Certainly, that was a short-run effort by TCB to try and shake up our race leader and just shake up this race, I think. Those tires and the car, the aero, was never going to hold up for all of 50 laps here to the end, but it was a valiant effort and certainly could have worked out if we had gotten a yellow in that time. Now, John Berry, as you mentioned, Derek, within a few tenths of this number 20 car, he's not cracked underneath a third of a second just yet, but he's within a half a second, within 4/10 a second even. He's close. But I think Daniel Falkingham may have learned from earlier in this race. It looks to me more like Daniel is pacing himself through this run, saving his tires, saving enough for the end when undoubtedly Chad Oxendine is slated to catch him.
And it's sizing up a unique thing here, or I should say a unique storyline to follow, because, you know, John Berry's had a great year. third in points, 8 top 5s, 16 top 10s of the 20 races counted towards his championship slate. But the big elephant in the room is the goose egg in the win column. The fact that he has not won yet this season. We've talked to him multiple times by virtue of his podium efforts and opportunities, and this may be the best chance that he has here tonight to get the job done with 2.5 miles left up down the road with Chicagoland and Vegas. But Jared Wishon is also trying to play the role of the spoiler. He's the highest running driver, or at least trying to be the highest running driver, not in the chase. He's battling with TCB for that spot right now, and he takes that shortcut on the backstretch. This is the race for 4th.
That was very sideways for both cars that time through the dogleg, mostly with Sean. TCB, for once, holds on to things, and a bobble, a misstep there for Barry. He's starting to lose time and will soon be within the clutches of Oxendine. Meanwhile, Lindgren sizing up his own teammate and TCB potentially. That or Wishon is about to open up a hole, maybe. Maybe a little bit of slingshot, shake and bake action as Wishon challenges the 25 all the way down to the dogleg, now to the inside in turn 3. Shallow entry for both. Makes it work. He's down there.
This is good stuff right here that we got going on, and it's starting to turn into about a 6-car race. And now, if I'm Lindgren, what do? Do I start to pressure with Sean like I would anybody else in the field, or am I being a little bit more courteous to the fact that that's my teammate up there trying to open the door for us to walk on through? So far, Lindgren appears to be playing a bit nice with Sean with the run. Here he comes down low. TCB tried to defend, but he couldn't keep him up the bottom with Sean inside.
It's going to be a battle through 3 and 4. The 27 down low, looking on that yellow line. No dice yet. 26 to go at the line, it looks like. Yes, 26 to go for these drivers. We're nearing the final 6th of this race, the final 16.7%. And intensity is as high as it could be. As high as it could possibly be right now.
It's fun. I know this race only had 1 yellow. It kind of threw a wrinkle into the mix of how many different strategies that we were going to see. It took out a front runner in David Shutt, but between the battles for position, the change in pace, and the way in which these drivers are having to navigate their way around this racetrack, it has been entertaining from the drop of the green, and we're not done yet. With Sean with a late dive down in turn 1. Maybe
he gets him, and he's going to go around! Or not.
Wow, so Rashad's going to be able to save the car. It's going to cost them some spots, push him back to 9th for the time being. Baker holds on to 4th. Howie Brisk got by for a top 5 spot for the time being. And Lindgren, who had to pedal it, is fighting on the outside of Pancari to try to get back up to 7th.
I'm still in shock that we don't have another yellow. I don't know what to say other than exactly that. I'm actually in shock that we didn't just wad up 3 or 4 cars in turn 1 that time. This is a lap prior. This is how it's all going to build up. And you can see with Sean, I mean, he was there this time through the dogleg. He's there, looks to the inside, finally gets there into turn 3. That's what materializes this run here, Eric. Just the fact that Rashawn was to the inside. And we saw how each time they went into the corner after going down to the dogleg, they really pushed up the racetrack. I think that right front might have finally given out into turn 1. It didn't give up entirely. It didn't blow, but it just didn't have anything else. I guess it's an extra lap ahead. My bad there, backing things up a little bit too much, but I'm still just in shock as to how all of this went down.
I agree with you. I thought for sure that was going to be our second yellow of the night here, and it was going to happen again with TCB fighting for a top 5 spot as Vachon got in there, and it almost reminded me of the Phoenix of old, where it was really tough to keep the car down low when you're underneath someone, and here it is. We're on board with Sean. He gets that big run off the corner, sends it in on the inside, and then that car is just going to step out sideways, wash up the racetrack, bounce off Baker. Wow! Zach Lindgren should have speared his teammate there in the driver's door, and he got through.
That was incredible. I mean, that was simply incredible wreck avoidance. You can tell Lindgren has played a lot of the old NASCAR games, especially the EA ones where you had the wreck avoidance challenges. Yeah, he's definitely got some experience with those, and those helped him there. 21 laps to go as we round lap 130 of 150. If you're out there in the comments, earlier on, we asked, who you got? Daniel Falkingham, Chad Oxendine of the field. Well, right now, it's looking a lot like Daniel Falkingham unless Oxendine can get on by John Barry. The 74 car is suddenly starting to hold that driver up. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot for John Barry to fight for here. It's not like he's just playing spoiler and holding up Oxendine. If we go back to the points, in fact, we can revisit this live. This is how they look coming into this race. It's only 8 points separating these two. Yeah, only 8 points separating these two. If Oxendine goes on by here, Barry might suddenly be, I don't know, potentially opened up to losing even more spots. Instead of finishing third, maybe fourth. That just gets Oxendine that little bit closer. So as far as battling for second in the standings with how far back Zoltan Hergzag is, the battle is between these two. John Barry, Chad Oxendine, head-to-head.
I'm a little perplexed about the decline in Zoltan Hergzag's performance over the last few weeks, and a part of that I wonder how much is attributed to the level of confidence. I don't even think Hergzag is out on the racetrack right now. It looks like
he's down.
He's called it a day. So, you know, I remember having this conversation with a friend of mine, and Joey Bailey, who races TQ Midget as well as Anima Light up north. And he would go into racing at a particular racetrack and just say, I absolutely hate it. And I had to explain to him that when you go into a venue with that type of mindset, you're already behind the 8 ball. If I'm Zoltan Hergzag, and if I want to come out and compete in Chicagoland next weekend, you've got to take whatever disappointment is attached to the way in which things have gone over the last few weeks and put it aside. You can't come into the next NORC race and have any of this stuff linger or fester or boil over, because it's just putting you at a bit of a disadvantage or a handicap off the jump, and he just hasn't been able to recover in a way in which we're accustomed to seeing Zoltan Hergzag perform. It's kind of baffling from our perspective, who oftentimes like watching Zoltan be in the mix for these things, but it's paved the way of watching some of these names fight for top 5 spots, like that of a Howie Briss or Ariati or Brett Pancari, names we've seen in the top 5 before, but tonight looks like it's being made a little bit easier because of the fact some of the heavy hitters are out of contention right now.
Yeah, Zoltan Hergzag lately has been a true hero to zero. There's no other way to put it. From 4 wins on the season, battling and just staying right there, lingering for a chance at the championship. So close, yet so far, but staying in contention to suddenly now, I mean, he's going to finish 18th, 17 laps down currently with 16 to go, 15 this time by. So, I mean, it's really disappointing to have seen Zoltan go from a championship contender, 4 wins, certainly could have contended for more, should have contended last week, should have contended this week, to completely out of this thing, and it's likely going to drop outside the top 5, I think, as far as standings go, if not a whole lot further. Second all season long, suddenly looks like he's going to drop much further than that. The battle we're watching on screen, 15 coming to 14 laps to go, is Howie Briss. What if Howie gets up here and gets a top 5? I'm not used to seeing a Home Depot car for Howie. I'm used to seeing the Exalted Flames, so I wasn't ready for it. But he is in a top 5 spot, and this is fantastic for Howie.
And it would, believe it or not, be Howie Briss's first top 5 of the season. He has 4 top 10s under his belt so far in 2021 NORC competition, with 20 races counted towards his points-paying total. But I'll tell you, for Howie, someone who did squeak into the chase, held down the 10th place in points coming into tonight's race, I think this would be huge for Howie, and I'm with you, Andrew. That paint scheme screams Tony Stewart's 2002 championship-winning effort. I was 12 years old at the time, so you may be younger than me, but I promise you it's not by all that much. But for Howie, this is what he needs. Even though the season's starting to wind down, you want to kick things off. You want to end the season on a high note and try to carry it with you through the offseason. And Howie's doing exactly what he needs to. And he may have something for TCB if he can get to him. There's about a second difference between the two right now.
He only has 1 top 5 to his career ever in NORC. I'm not going to sift through all the stats right now to figure out where that was, but only 1 top 5 ever. Could you imagine if he goes out there and doubles that this evening, gets a second top 5 at Phoenix of all places? And, I mean, sure, he's written out of the championship by quite a ways, but he's still got plenty of reason to fight. If you look at the standings, I'll have to go back over to that screen, I suppose. There's still a lot for him to fight for, and especially with drivers faltering ahead of him and around him. We don't have Jared Darling this evening. Will Klein, where is he? Zoltan Hergzag could continue to slide. David Schutt is sliding this evening. Cody Miller is sliding this evening. I mean, Howie Briss has a lot to race for right now. Only 10 points behind Cody into this race, and he's, well, not 10 ahead, but 5-6 positions ahead of Cody Miller. This could certainly be a good step towards moving up through this top 10. He's racing with Ariati here. Brett Pancari in this fight as well. Brett Pancari comes in 7th in the standings and should gain quite a lot here on Sean Williams and likely take that spot away from Sean when the day is done. We talked a lot about this battle up ahead, Eric. Chad Oxendine, I don't think he's going to get there. 10 laps to go the last time by the stripe, and the gap is not closing. It's widening.
I thought Oxendine was going to have a car that would just get better and better as the run goes on, but unfortunately for him, time is running out. We got now 9 laps to go in this race, and he'd be lucky if he was able to get up there and contest with John Barry. Great night, though, and a great run that Oxendine has been on. Remember, he struggled in the opening round of the chase back in Indianapolis, lost a lot of points there. In fact, I believe he lost 4 positions in the standings. Was able to gain it back, though, by virtue of a strong run at Texas. Continued his steady climb up in the championship ranks to find himself back in 4th coming into the night. 2 wins on the season. This will be his 9th top 5 if he can hang on to where he's running right now. And as you mentioned, you're going to be up there in a slugfest for perhaps 2nd in points if Herczeg continues to try to come out and fire on all cylinders, and also chasing the driver ahead of him in John Berry that came into the night separated by less than 10 points. But what about Daniel Falkingham? I mean, Andrew, is there going to be a venue, probably not over the next 2 weeks, but is there a venue that exists that is too much for this driver to handle?
Oh my goodness. Spencer Owens nearly collects Daniel Falkingham getting back rolling. That was close. The car looks clean. I dare say that is just a car that got away from him out of turn 4 and got a little bit loose. Let's go back and find out.
Well, I will admit that I think that I was in the process of sealing the envelope and shipping the winner's check out to Daniel Falkingham there, but this is going to shake things up here, and it may open the door for a little bit of late race strategy. We've seen the tires matter, but first let's see what happened to slow the field here this time, and I believe you may be right here, Andrew. Spencer Owens running by himself, comes off the corner, gets back to the gas, and she steps out in a big way off the corner, and he tried to lock it down and save it. Unfortunately, she hooked back the other way, and that car was sideways enough to draw the yellow. Whoa. If he would have let it keep rolling, that would have been it for Falkingham's pursuit of 10 victories. But boy, this certainly shakes things up. Only our 2nd caution, and it comes at a pivotal point of this race.
And this is a point in time where we just might see the race completely change. Falkingham working to the inside. This was what we were watching at the time of the yellow. Right to the inside of Sheldon Lockie. Holds the car down low. Great job. I'd like to see what he's doing with the pedals. And here comes, oh my goodness. Woo! Your heart rate would go through the roof. I would not be able to stay calm during that. Falkingham does. Holds his composure. Keeps the car intact and on the right track through all of that. And will continue to lead. He will, well, he's actually not leading now. Here's something interesting. If there weren't enough twists and turns in this race already, Eric, especially strategy-related, Chad Oxendine is just taking 2 tires.
I figured we'd have some pit strategy here, and Chad is going to be the one to step out of the box, and I don't know how this is going to work out for him here, but we may be looking at about a 3 or 4 lap shootout to the finish. So, boy, I like the call. I like the fact that he's going to, get off script here for the end of this race, and, I know that the expression is if you can't beat him, join him. In this case, they didn't really join him. He's trying to find his own way. And let's see how this unfolds here. This should be fun.
We're going to speak with somebody from a bit of a backseat perspective in all of this. TCB, of course, a fantastic run today. Mired a little bit by that incident with David Shutt. What happened from your point of view?
From what I hear, it was netcode. I don't know. I didn't really see any netcode. Teammates, man, sometimes they help you, sometimes they hurt you, and right there I got stabbed. But you know what? We put a little saline over the wound. We're patched up, and we're somehow P4.
And P4 for what's going to be the money restart. This is going to be a big one, buddy. Chad Oxendine, 2 tires. Falkingham and Barry, they've both got 4. You, I'd imagine, will have 4 as well. How do you see this one shaping out?
To be honest with you, I can't believe Chad took 2. I'm floored. I'm baffled here, Andrew. But yeah, I know I'm fast on new tires. I feel like I'm almost faster than Daniel on new tires. I'm not too sure about Jonathan Barry Bob down here, but I'm gonna try, man. I really just think Chad's gonna go straight into this corner here, and that might be the end of it for Daniel.
Well, hey, if it's the end of it for him, that means there's an opening on the bottom, right? For you and Revan to go on through. So hey, maybe it works out, buddy. What do you want to say to all your fans watching?
Shout out to all the fans. I love each and every one of you. Shout out to my girl watching and everybody watching. My mom. Yeehaw! We're going to try to win. Let's go.
So Terrell Baker going to try from 4th place for the win. Buddy, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
TCB, he's got for Mr. Feelgoods. He's coming down to what is going to be the most important restart potentially of the season for some of these drivers. The points battles, they are thick. The plot is getting thicker yet. Green flag back out from Phoenix. 3 laps to go. TCB way up the racetrack, hangs on to things for now, but is he going to throughout the entire lap? He's back to 5th now. Ariati move him up to 4th. 2 laps to go as we come back across, well, to turn number 3. It'll be 2 laps to go as Falkingham right back to the bumper of the 66. He's challenging. Are we going to see a bump and run? Oh, Justin Gable!
For Justin Gable. And Mercier gets caught up in it as well. Caution is out for the 3rd time after I think Falkingham may have caught Oxendine a break. He had a big run that time, and that is Mercier, who was backwards on the main straightaway. That was a huge hit for Justin Gable, who at the time of the crash, Andrew, I looked up and saw that car heading up towards the turn 4 wall quickly.
And hey, fun fact, this race will not match that length of 150. We are going to overtime. Justin Gable, problems out of turn 4. Let's go back and find out what goes on for the driver of the 13. He's on the outside of Cody Miller and Sheldon Locke. Does he get help? The answer is no. Car steps out, overcorrects hard in the safer barrier, and nowhere for Tom to go.
And Gable was having a good run. He was running top 10 just before the last yellow came out. Was trying to fight for a position to get up into the top 10 there at the moment of that crash, and that was a really, really hard hit. I know that this is the sim racing world, but that made me wince momentarily. Now we're on board with Tom Mercier, who's just riding in the back here, minding his manners, trying to catch up to Spencer Owens, and gets a good run down low, and you'll just watch Gable's car shoot up to the outside wall, and Mercier had nowhere to go to get by there, and is swept up in the accident after having a very clean race all the way up till literally the final few laps.
Yeah, that's incredibly unfortunate for both drivers there. Just a misstep for Gable, and unfortunately it puts both drivers in the pit lane. Lots of damage. Look at those 2 cars. I mean, they are destroyed after that massive, massive walloping impact. Those 2 drivers coming around to 2 laps to go. At least what was 2 laps to go. Now we're going to overtime. That means green, white, checkered. Let's check in and see what potentially another driver thinks of. And in fact, how about Ariati? We don't get to talk to that guy much, and he is sitting 4th.
Let's pull Ariati in here. And Ari, you've been on a bit of a roll these last few weeks here, and this week appears to be no exception. I know you're riding in 4th. You're the 3rd driver, though, with 4 fresh tires. How do you like your chances for this overtime finish that's coming up?
I'll tell you what, they're better than they've been this entire season. I think the cars are pretty even, so it's as good as anyone here in the top 5, honestly.
I know you're in and around a lot of drivers who find themselves in the chase, but you have been one of the highest running drivers on the outside looking in. Is the objective to try to grab a win before the season winds down? You've certainly been getting better and better each and every week. What is the goal for you, not only here, but for the remaining 3 races as well?
Yeah, just to do the best I can. And like you said, I kind of missed out on the chase, missed a couple of races, and yeah, couldn't make the chase. But yeah, just still want to do the best you can every week. And if you don't win, you still want to have fun. So I'm definitely going to try to steal one from these guys, and we'll see what happens here.
Since the chase kicked off in Indy, you've been turning some heads, including all of us here at Pit Stop TV, and hopefully we'll be chatting with you in about 2 laps time or so once we get the 1-to-go signal here a little bit later on to be celebrating a good finish. You'll be restarting on the outside of the 2nd row. Go get him, buddy.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Hope I talk to you guys later.
All right, and that's Ariati, who, as we said, is going to restart in 4th spot on the outside of that 2nd row. And Andrew, he's been one of the most consistent drivers outside the chase. It's been a threat, and he's in a pretty good position here should things tighten up in front of him in that battle for the lead.
Pretty good position, a great position. The only thing he's got to do is not do exactly what TCB did on the restart prior. This race is going to go to 144 laps. If you're keeping track with what I was talking about earlier, I love numbers. I absolutely love numbers, love stats and such. One race previously has gone to 154 laps. That was season 12. Is this the new race distance potentially? 150 plus a green-white checkered? We'll see. The green flag going to come this time once again for Chad Oxendine. Waiting on the green from the flag stand into the restart zone and back out. Green flag, 2 laps to go. Daniel Falkingham down to the bottom.
It's a pretty quick move there by Falkingham and try to get to the inside and block off John Barry's ability to take over that second spot. This is where Falkingham had a big run the last time through. Oxendine's going to try to defend all the way through the shortcut. Falkingham looks outside, now inside as Oxendine tries to cover the spot. He gets touched aside.
Daniel Falkingham didn't want to lose the race in a contact move last week, uses the bumper this week. He's got down to the inside of Barry and Oxendine. The Tucson Sound Dart white flag is out at Phoenix. Oxendine down on his door, hugging the 20. He does not want to give this one up. Side by side. Through the dog leg at Phoenix for the final time. At a turn 3, does TCB send it? They crash behind. Ariadne's in it. TCB takes aim for the back of Daniel Falkingham. He doesn't get there. 2 tires are going to do it. 2 tires are going to work for Chad Oxendine and deny the 10th win for Daniel Falkingham. And he is mad.
Oh my goodness. Happy birthday, Chad Oxendine. What a drive. Perhaps the best in his sim racing career. Oxendine able to fend off the challenge late. Got a big push on the top side by John Barry at the white flag. And Falkingham, he could have roughed him up. He definitely could have been a little bit more aggressive, but Oxendine is going to grab his 5th win of the season. Cody Miller is going to send this race off into the distance here with a little bit of smoke and donuts, and Oxendine is going to burn down the house here after running this race to perfection with the pit strategy called. I was with TCB, man. I did not think that was going to be the winning move, but it took the driver behind the wheel to get the job done, and Chad has got to be ecstatic about that one.
I feel about safe to call Daniel Falkingham our champion. We'll just go ahead and say it. Card counts could maybe deny us, but for the time being, let's go ahead and call him our champion. To see him alt F4 across the line like that, that's questionable at best. But he does finish still second. What a rally by everybody in the late stages. Chad Oxendine, Daniel Falkingham, Terrell Baker, who had that terrible restart initially, gets back up there and finishes 3rd. I can't believe that. And of course, Chad Oxendine getting up and finishing first, taking the win this evening on his birthday. Like you said, happy birthday, Chad Oxendine. Incredible stuff at Phoenix.
And I'll tell you, this race did not disappoint all the way through. I feel bad for Ariadne. We may have given him the broadcaster's jinx there at the end because when we looked up, that car was spinning all the way down the back straightaway, and I don't think it stopped. It's probably still spinning its way through Rattlesnake Hill. Here's a look at the crash. He gets sideways, tags Zach Lindgren. Jared was shone with the acrobatic moves there, but this is the run for the lead off the final corner, and you see Falkingham get a little bit loose there coming to the line. Oxendine leads him to the checkered flag, and that was it. Falkingham hit the eject button. He was done, and it looked like a clean and fun race there. I think Daniel was respectful as one could be. Oxendine held him tight all the way through, and man, let's go back and watch this one over again. That was fun.
This is a great restart. Daniel desperate down to the bottom side. That's not legal in NASCAR. It's legal in NORC. You can go down there, change lanes before the line. Gets down in front of Barry, blocks that line. Now through the dog leg here. Gets frustrated, certainly. I mean, he is desperately running for this win at this point. Wants that 10th victory. Looks left, looks right, looks left again. I mean, just moves Chad into the corner. Down to the bottom side. Hey, all's fair in love and war. I like a bump and run. He might not have liked it last week. I like it. Moves Oxendine, gets to the inside, across the line, that's white flag.
Now going down to turn number 1, this is where I thought for sure they were going to ping-pong off one another, and they somehow were able to keep it straight. A bit of a bobble by Falkingham off the corner. TCB way to the inside. I wonder if that deterred Falkingham a little bit or took his attention away off his entry to turn 3. And Oxendine just went full send on that outside lane in 3 and 4. And this is where Daniel's going to get loose off the exit. And that's all she wrote. Win number 3 on the season for Chad Oxendine here at Phoenix. And it may be one of the biggest wins in his sim racing career. That was incredible. 2 tires versus 4 on the field, and Oxendine gets it done.
Now we'll go ahead and go back and check what happens for Ariadne in the bunch. This is off the restart, so this is 2 laps to go still. This is lap 153 of 154 now. And you see, things going okay for Ariadne. TCB fought to the inside, certainly had something there after restarting 5th, so the outside definitely did not work out from the outside of row number 2 anyways. This time, you can see Ariadne still got 4th. Here comes TCB back to the inside. Oh, and he gives a big move to John Barry. That's what opens a door for TCB. Now, what happens here? My goodness. Oh, John just turns left. It doesn't look intentional, but a big mistake nonetheless.
Yeah, unfortunately, when he did that, there were cars that were down to the inside, top side, upside, and it just wiped out a bunch of guys there on the last lap. That was questionable, I'll say, but unique set of circumstances there on that final lap with that hard racing taking place, and we'll have another look at it here. So this is coming off of turn number 2, with Oxendine holding the advantage at the head of the pack here, and this is still on the 2 to go side. So we're coming around for a white flag, and we'll see car 23 and 74 where the initial contact is going to take place here at the end of the front stretch after they take the white flag. So the white flag is in the air by Barney the flagman. You see Oxendine creating the field, Barry there, maybe putting himself in prime position should things get sideways, and Ariati just kind of gave him a boot off into the corner. And perhaps here at this point, John's a little bit frustrated, thinking that he took away the chance to get that big runoff 2 and make it 3 wide on the bottom. Adi goes to the middle, and I don't necessarily think that John gets sideways here. Let's see if he just kind of turns down on him.
It's hard to say. This angle should show it. That's a turn left. I really hope that's not intentional from John Barry. I really hope it's not intentional. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt there. If it is, we've got problems. That turns Zach Lindgren broadside in front of the entire field, and this spells problems for his teammate. Jared Wishon, nowhere to go. Up and over. Do a barrel roll, Jared Wishon. And he does it at turn 3. Ariati collects Howie Briss, who almost got a top 5 this evening. Collects Spencer Owens. Collects Sheldon Lockie. So many cars involved here on the final lap.
And Barry's able to ride off into the sunset and still finish in the top 10, according to my unofficial records here.
Finished 4th.
Yeah, well, it's top 5 even. Man, Mercier, one of the last ones to come in to be involved in the crash as well. After
But a godsend for Jared.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this was a wild ending to this race, but it should not take away the fact that what Chad Oxendine was able to do on that 2-star strategy was phenomenal, especially fending off the most dominant driver in NORC this season by far. And how about TCB, man? He came home in 3rd in this thing with that damaged car. I didn't realize that till just now.
Yeah, 3rd place for Terrell Baker. That is properly incredible. I think the virtual fans are dying down a little bit. What a finish. They would have reason to be up and cheering for that one. Fantastic stuff from Phoenix. Man, I even got to catch my breath a little bit. That was insane, those final couple of laps. Chad Oxendine getting the win at Phoenix on his birthday. Don't go anywhere, guys. We've got a lot to talk about here on the far side of the checkered flag. Still, post-race interviews, including TCB. All you TCB fans, you've got to stick around for interviews this week. You've got to listen to what he's got to say after finishing 3rd here at Phoenix. Boy, I can't wait to talk to Chad Oxendine, hopefully Daniel Falkingham, and TCB. Don't go anywhere. This is Pits.TV with more coverage of the NORC iRacing Series.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it?
On this edition of Cars Tour Would You Rather, on a cross-country road trip, would you rather drive or be the passenger?
Driver. I don't trust anybody else.
Probably go driver. Probably just because I like to be doing something. I know passenger, you kind of just like look at your phone and stuff, but definitely driver, I feel like I like to drive quite a bit.
Driver first half, passenger second half. Just because.
Probably the passenger. I like doing the navigation, and I'm real good at being a DJ in the car, so that's probably where I would be.
Driver. I like to be in control.
Definitely driver, because I don't like riding unless I'm sleeping.
Driver, I like to be in control of what I'm doing. I'd rather be the driver. I'd rather be the one in control. Definitely the driver. Specifically because I like to be in control of what I'm doing at all times. And mainly, I just don't trust other people driving.
The driver for sure. I'd like to drive.
Passenger. I like to ride. I don't know. Sleep, maybe. Who knows? Got to be the driver. I like to be in control.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual Phoenix Raceway. What a showing. Now, I know it still says ISM. I promise you, it's the Phoenix Raceway these days. What a race. I've never been this excited at Phoenix, even as I've gone to Phoenix. Aside from maybe 2016, was it, when Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick had that fantastic finish here. I think that's the only finish that ranks up there quite like this one. What a thrilling overtime finish for the NORC iRacing Series in race 23 of 25. The series continues to excite, and Chad Oxendine continues to celebrate this evening. What a win for this guy. Let's get him on in here. The birthday boy, happy birthday to you. I won't continue the rest of the song. I don't want to subject the viewers to that, Chad. But what it's okay. You don't have to, yeah. What a finish, though. Seriously. 54 laps led. You looked like maybe the strategy would have worked out for you. You were certainly good on the long run. What happened, though? The last long run, before we got the slew of cautions, what happened?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to say I'm dedicating this win to my late grandfather. I've been waiting to win. He watched me every week. He passed away just over a month ago. So that one's for Pops. He always enjoyed watching every week. So that one's for him. But, yeah, that long run, I just get stuck in the dirty air, and I just couldn't go anywhere. Revin was pretty quick. Obviously, Daniel was. And I was just using my stuff up to try to hang with him, because I knew on the long run I'd be pretty good. And I just wore my stuff out, and I couldn't go anywhere. I mean, I was stuck behind Revin. I mean, he was quick enough. I couldn't get a run on him or alongside of him. So just flat out stuck there.
Well, while it isn't maybe for the championship at this point, you're still mounting a heck of a season. It's you and John Barry, basically, for second place in the championship, and you make sure not only to go out and best the 74 car, but to win this evening. Those last couple of restarts, 2 tires. What was the agenda other than just go out there and win? What was the agenda otherwise? What were the steps to get there?
Well, Andrew, I wasn't here to be second or worse tonight. It was just the will to win. I felt like I was the fastest tonight, and the strategy didn't play out with that yellow in the middle. And I didn't want to ride third. If I take 4, I'm going to sit there and ride, third, fourth, maybe second, But I wasn't here to do that. I wanted to win. Daniel's been winning all these things. Someone had to knock him off the post. I don't know what happened to Zoltan here lately, but we had to get it done tonight. So that was my only chance to win. You're not gonna beat him starting behind him. So it was winner wreck. That was my mindset tonight.
Well, it's a win for the Summer Shandy 66. We've liked it since Texas when you debuted it. It's a fantastic looking car. You put it in victory lane this evening. You mentioned your late grandfather, and certainly condolences go out to you and the rest of the Oxendine family. Who else makes it happen for you? Who else propels you to these fantastic runs and makes it happen for you in the NORC iRacing series and across all of iRacing?
I appreciate you saying that, Andrew. It just everyone that watches me each week, really, it makes it fun for me with friends and family that are watching, and they pretty much watch every week. So that makes it more fun to me to come out here and try to do the best I can for them. But thank you guys for the broadcast. Always enjoy talking to you guys. Really want to win because I don't know if I'll be here for the last race of the year. I'm probably going to be out of town. So I really want to get it done with this week and next week just left for me. So just happy to get it done. Thank you guys, Revan. And thank you, Daniel, too, for not wrecking me there. He punted me pretty good, but he didn't wreck me. He raced me pretty clean. So I appreciate that.
Well, actually, yeah, let's backtrack, I suppose. Let's talk about the finish, because he definitely punted you a little bit. And after last week in Facebook, you said you were going to get him next week. And, I mean, here you are. You're in victory lane. You won.
Yeah, like I said, I found a little something with the brake bias, and it really helped me just get the car rotating. Especially in 1 and 2, I felt like that was his weak spot, and I could see it. He was overdriving turn 1 quite often. And I just knew eventually I could get him. It takes so long with the dirty air on here now. You just gotta, you can't give up. You really just can't give up. You got to keep after it. And then all the strategy played out, and I thought I was gonna win. He thought he was gonna win, and we ended up getting it. So don't know what else to say, but we got her done, and we'll try for one more next week.
Never give up. I think that's the way to sum up the day for the 66 car. Was in it, was out of it, was back in it, wins at Phoenix. What a day for you, buddy. Live this one up, and we'll see you next week at Chicago.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Have a good week, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
Hey, you as well, buddy. Chad Oxendine wraps things up. And what's funny, we're going to see him at Chicago next week, getting into a little bit of a Midwestern accent. He's got Portillo's there on the side of the car there, Eric. So I think that fits right in with the Chicago Dogs. But anyways, I'll stop that now. We'll hand things over to the Eric Brennan with the Daniel Falkingham.
Thank you very much, Andrew. And we'll pull Daniel Falkingham in here. And Daniel, I turned the math duties over to Andrew Cardinale IV. Math is not my strong suit, but it looks like odds are pretty high that you may very well have sealed up the championship here tonight, but we'll call it unofficial for the time being. But I know that you wanted to do so in terms of grabbing your 10th win of the season, and you came up just one spot short. You and Chad have been attached at the hip these last 2 weeks, and it appeared as though you had the right strategy there for the green-white checker, just couldn't find a way by there. What was it more perhaps that you needed in that final run to the finish in order to get that job done at the end?
Probably not being so nice, I guess, at the end of these races. He blocked me 2 times going into 3, and I tried to move him the best I could, but I just didn't move him hard enough. But that's what I've always liked, is I just feel like I'm just too nice in these races, especially at the end of it, because I'm always afraid of wrecking people. But I mean, I don't mind trying to move someone out of the way, but I don't want to wreck people for it. But yeah, just a big fail on my part. Kind of feel embarrassed, not gonna lie. So pretty big disappointment on my part.
Where is that fine line as far as knowing that you have the championship pretty much well under wraps, but I know that you are motivated by wins, strictly wins, and you've proven it by the stat sheet so far this season. Where is that fine line, though, between trying to measure your individual desire to grab a victory on a night like tonight versus also trying to maintain and retain the respect of your competitors that you've worked so hard to garner all throughout the season? Where is that line essentially drawn, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because, just that last run, yeah, Chad had us beat on the first run, so that's why I tried to do something different, which I don't think was going to win us the race anyway. We got lucky with that yellow flag. But then on that second run, I learned some stuff during that second run before the caution came out, and I put that to the test on that long run, and we were pretty much fastest on track. So pretty much once that caution came out, I was like, whatever, we'll come get tires. And then after that, pretty much I knew Chad took 2, so I figured we could get by him. And then of course, I didn't want to wreck him, but I felt like after we literally led that entire last run and then have a caution come out there and pretty much lose it that way. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And pretty much it's just more just being, I guess, pissed off, I guess. Sorry about that. But, it's just, it's a fine line because I felt like I definitely should have won this race tonight. And, of course, I'm always going to be disappointed because of how good we've been on a roll this season. So if I really don't win, it's honestly a disappointment. And I don't care what people say if they go, oh, boo-hoo, whatever. But, yeah, depending on races like we have tonight, if I don't win, then yes, I'm not going to be happy. And that's a fine line. At the end of the day, I want to have respect with all my competitors and stuff. But, on the other end of it, I want to keep winning. But I want to do it the right way. But there's times where I just got to go to that next extent, and I didn't do that. So, something I got to learn for the future, I guess. Because, my not getting aggressive enough cost me the win tonight, so.
And it seemed like you had the right strategy as well. I know that you said you didn't think that it was going to win you the race. However, that two-stopper, it brought us all back, both Andrew and I, to Indy, where we thought that maybe you were, kind of in a position where you were going to box yourself out of a chance to win, and you had the best tires at the end, literally drove through the field, and you seemed to be doing that as well. The caution kind of threw everything out of whack, and you said you found something there late in the going. You gapped the field by about 1.2 seconds there before that last yellow came out, which you almost got swept up in. What was going through your mind there when Spencer Owens almost rolled out in front of you coming to that yellow?
Yeah, that had me on my toes a little bit because I was racing Sheldon trying to put him a lap down, and then I see Peanut. I thought he was going to roll up the track, and I was just going to smash right into him, but thankfully I got it jerked enough where I could just avoid him. So that definitely had me up on my toes and stuff. But yeah, really wish I didn't come out, but that it's not his fault. That's a racing incident. We make mistakes all the time, so. It was more it was more my fault I didn't win this race than him. So yeah, yeah, that definitely got my attention for sure, but still, definitely not his fault for how the end of the race came. Like I said, we all make mistakes and stuff. It's just a lot of stuff I need to clean up on my part because I am a perfectionist. So yes, there's times where I'll be disappointed and whatnot, but yeah.
Well, I know that you didn't come out on the end of it that you wanted. From our perspective, it was a great run to the finish. It was your 6th pole of the season by virtue of qualifying earlier tonight. 15th top 5, 18th top 10 on a season that has already seen you grab 9 wins with 2 races to go, both of which a mile and a half. What are your expectations? It seems like that you may not be satisfied unless you wrap up the season with back-to-back victories. Is that the goal for you going into these last 2 races here to try to sew up this title for good?
Absolutely. Gonna go win. Should have, like I said last week, I want to try to win all 3, and we unfortunately couldn't get it done tonight. But we're gonna go win these next 2, and hopefully make up for what happened tonight. So yeah, hopefully we don't have any late race shenanigans like we did tonight. So that's what we're gonna go do. We're gonna go win these next 2, hopefully, and hopefully close out this championship in style.
We certainly put on the show en route to your runner-up finish here tonight, Daniel. Before we let you go, just want to give you one opportunity to thank all those who make it possible on what may be, depending on car count, the night in which you were able to sew up this title here tonight. Who makes nights like this and this entire season possible for you?
Yeah, I just got to thank First Rebate Lock 207, my personal sponsors, for all they do, for all their support. I also got to thank John Barry or Revan for putting on the show, putting on the league. Didn't have a lot of guys race tonight, but still put on a pretty good race for y'all. So. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. You guys absolutely kill it every single week. I say it pretty much every week, but you guys seriously kill it every single week. You guys do amazing. So thank you guys for all you do. Probably going to go check it out later on. Got to thank everyone who comes out races each and every week. Got to thank all the fans who comes out and watches each and every week. And thanks to all my friends and family for watching as well. And sorry to disappoint all of them.
Well, I'm certain that this has you. If there's a such thing as being more motivated than what you have been this season with 9 victories, I'm pretty sure this has got you pretty focused on the last 2 races of the season. And I'm excited to see what you have in store for us there, buddy. It's been a great year, and I hope that you're able to end it on an absolute high note as well with Chicagoland and Vegas coming up. We're looking forward to seeing you then, bud.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Daniel Falkingham, our runner-up here tonight. And as you heard, Andrew, not the most satisfying of second-place finishes on his season, but I guess when you got all the success to compare it against, you may very well not be too happy with the second-place run. But a great run, nevertheless, for Falkingham. We'll try to put an exclamation point on his season next week and perhaps the week after as well. But we got more top runners to talk to, including a driver who we heard from mid-race. In fact, we heard from at the beginning of the race. Now we get to talk to him because of yet another top 3 finish in the chase. How about that run by Terrell Baker coming home in 3rd spot?
Oh yeah, there's a lot to be happy with if you're the TCB camp. Buddy, we talked to you before you restarted 4th. You go into turn 1, way at the racetrack. What happened?
Are you talking about when Brett punted me or something? I think, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, so Brett, I guess, kind of forgot where the corner was, unfortunately, and he hit me, but it was all right. But he apologized for me. I told him it's all good. I didn't wreck. I would have just been very disappointed if I would have wrecked, though. But
well, you come back, and on that last restart, you restarted 5th for overtime. At first, you got up there, you were battling with Ariotti, and then obviously a whole lot happened on that last lap, but the seas kind of parted your way. What happened?
God bless Ariotti. That's all I could say. Before all that even happened, and before you interviewed me, I think there was like 10 laps ago. I was thinking, well, 4th is good, I guess. It's just about where I was running the whole race, and I was like, even with damage, it's fine. And then all that happened, and then all I saw was Ari punted Jonathan there, and all I could think was, oh God, get as low as possible. Don't get killed. And I didn't get killed. They all ended up wrecking behind me, and I going into 3 there, I was thinking about punting Daniel, but I have a lot of respect for the kid, and he's kind of gave me some pointers along the way, so I decided not to give him the old 1-2 buckle my shoe, 3-4, you're out the door. So so I just kind of. Oh no, go ahead.
Well, it's all usually fun and games in a good way. It's all usually very light mood around TCB and your whole personality. I know you stream a lot on Twitch. Let's talk about the fact though that you had an incredible race today. You went toe-to-toe with David Shutt lap after lap after lap, initially for 3rd and 4th, then for 2nd and 3rd. The wreck happens, you get a little bit of damage. Doesn't seem to have held you up too much. On those last few restarts, you were still really, really good. You kept your car up there, and now you finished 3rd on the day. This is one of your best races all season long. Certainly, you're trending in the upward direction. That's good, potentially going into season 14.
Yeah, I really wish I started doing that earlier in the season. Maybe I'd be running for a championship. I don't know about that. But, I could name a few good races we had this season. I raced at Super Speedway. Martinsville's really good. I know I ran 2nd, that whole entire race. This race, even beginning of Texas for 10 laps until I decided to murder myself. But, it's end of the season, man, we've really been coming on strong, and I don't know what car. I think we're using the trucks next season, so I think I'm pretty good with those. So, you can only go up from here, Andrew.
Well, certainly, I think there's a lot of ways up for you next season. You're going to be one of the better drivers, not in the chase when it's all said and done. Hopefully, we see you in that group of 12 or whatever it may be next season for season 14. Buddy, one more time, who makes it happen for you? What do you have to say to your fans?
Who doesn't make it happen for me, man? You guys that broadcasted, man. Honestly, I can't wait to go back and watch this. It was really a good race with David Shutt. Team TCB, everybody worked so hard upstate New York. My teammates, Sean, even though Mel kind of destroyed Shutt, it gave me the damage. I appreciate him coming out, giving me some laps during the race, and just being him. All the fans, man, we wouldn't be here without you guys. My mom and dad watching, everybody, everybody that puts us on. Jonathan Berry, how could I forget about the guy that runs the league? Jonathan Berry, everybody. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here.
Well, TCB, buddy, you make another one happen. Third place this evening, and in fantastic style there at the end, missing that massive crash on the backstretch. Buddy, hopefully we're talking to you in these next couple of races, Chicago and Las Vegas. Go get them.
Yeah!
TCB gets things done. Third place this evening at Phoenix, and it's all ahead of this guy who somehow comes back through the field and finishes 7th on that last run to the end, Eric. It's Sean Williams.
We love taking the time to talk to a bunch of names and drivers who have had great seasons but are oftentimes perhaps undermined by some of the podium finishes we talk to. Sean Williams, you gained one spot on the point standings after your finish in Darlington last week. You now had a great night here tonight, contrary to some of the drivers you're chasing in the championship, and you survived the madness that was that last lap crash towards the end of that one. How did the end of the race unfold for you? Were you on the same four-tire pit strategy as everybody else that stopped before the green-white checkers? And how did you get through that last lap calamity that took place all around you?
I don't know. There was cars like spinning everywhere. I saw a hole. I went for it. Stayed low. It worked out. I was on fresh tires. I'd pitted the caution right before that, and then we did one lap and had another yellow. So I stayed out. It was just, I don't know, hoping for a miracle, and I got it.
You were able to net your 8th top 10 of the season. As we mentioned, you're kind of trying to work your way closer to the top 5 in points. Going to be really close, depending on how the math falls. When you came in, you and David Shutt were separated by, my math's not all that great. We'll call it in or around 25, 30 points. But nevertheless, what are your goals here? I know you haven't gone to victory lane yet this season. You've been up front. We've talked to you a couple of times. You want to try to win one of these last 2 races, or are you more focused on trying to go out on a consistent high to try to keep some momentum going into season 14?
I mean, if I'm able to get a win, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Do everything I can. There's some really fast guys in this league, though. I mean, as y'all well know, look at the people finishing at the top every week. So I didn't have the speed tonight, but I always try to improve, just do what I can, but most importantly, try to have fun, to hang out with my friends in here. So yeah, if the win presents itself, we're gonna go for it. If not, the best I can do is just hope to get a solid, decent points night.
We see a lot of different types of driving and forms of racing, a little bit of contact, a little bit of frustration, sometimes self-absorbed frustration by a couple of drivers. But you mentioned it, hanging out with your friends. This league is something special. When Andrew Cardinale was explaining to me that we were going to have the broadcast rights for this series this season, once he told me what NORC was all about, I was pumped. I know sometimes when people sign off and they hang up the virtual helmet at the end of the night, there's a little bit of frustration with your fellow competition, but you seem to really look forward to these Tuesday night contests. Why? What makes NORC so special for those who may not be totally in tune with what this series is all about?
I guess, I don't know, for me, I guess it's one of the perks of online gaming in general. Like, there's a lot of toxicity out there, but, you know, sometimes you find that group that you click with, and everything just feels right. And there's a lot of guys in this league that are just, like, really cool. And like you say, sometimes you might be a little mad at each other on the track, but like 5 minutes after the race is over, nobody cares anymore. Just hanging out, goofing off. So yeah, I try to improve. These guys are fast. They're good to learn from too. So I try to improve my skills, better myself. But at the same time, I'm here to have fun. And if I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be on here doing it.
Well, you've had a great chase so far. As we mentioned, you're in the top half of the 12 drivers who are contesting for the chase this season. 2 races left to go. Sean, before we let you go and turn your attention to Chicagoland next week, I want to open up the floor to you and offer thanks for all those who make it possible for you.
Yeah, Brevin, for putting on the league. We just talked about these guys. There's very few people in this league that, you know, I don't get along with. And I think for the amount of people that are here, that's pretty cool, because I like pretty much all these guys. So thanks to Revin. Thanks for all them for showing up. Thank you guys for your excellent broadcasting, as always. Everyone who's watching. And I also want to say congrats to Chad, man, winning on his birthday. That's really cool. That's special.
And thanks to all of you guys for putting on races like what we had tonight. I hope everybody goes back and enjoys the broadcast, because it was a great race through and through. Because of people like you, Sean, you guys put on a great show each and every week. We expect more of the same for Chicagoland and Vegas. Good luck next week, bud. Hopefully we talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Chicagoland will be great. I think that puts on some of the best racing on iRacing on Oval, so hopefully we'll put on a show.
I totally agree. Between that track and Vegas, I love this NORC schedule for so many reasons. Those last 2 races are going to be a lot of fun. Sean, good luck, buddy. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you very much.
And again, that is Sean Williams, who will crunch the numbers when all is said and done. But he certainly gained some ground on Davis Shutt in terms of fifth place in the standings. But a lot to still be decided, even though we think that perhaps Falkingham wrapped up the title, Andrew. But we mentioned subplots and additional storylines, and tonight kind of proved why we continue to keep our fingers on the pulse of this series. And Chad Oxendine went out there and proved it, that he's still a force to be reckoned with. Even though the championship may not be on the line, he comes out on top tonight.
And Daniel Falkingham finishing second means that all he's got to do next week at Chicago, or Las Vegas for that matter, depending on how math works out, is finish 23rd or better. A finish of 23rd or better in either race should lock things up for Daniel Falkingham and the championship. I mean, it's all but written at this point. Only 24 cars these last couple of races. Sure, I would expect the numbers to go back up closer to 30 these next couple of weeks, but I find it hard to believe that Daniel Falkingham finishes 23rd or worse in either of those two races, let alone both. Terrell Baker, he finishes third this evening. How about a top three for TCB? John Barry finishes fourth after that last lap contact. Keep in mind, these are unofficial. That might change. Brett Pancari finishes fifth this evening. Cody Miller sixth. Sean Williams, we just spoke with him. He finishes seventh. How about Patrick Colby? I can't tell you how long he ran in the back this evening. Finishes eighth place by sheer attrition and not getting involved in that last lap crash, along with Spencer Owens and Tom Mercier completing the top 10.
I'll get back to some of the drivers who had some misfortune in this race, including Zach Lindgren, who was caught up in that spectacular last lap crash, as was Sheldon Lockie. Boy, my heart hurts for Howie Briss. We were talking about how perhaps he would have his second career NORC top 5, first of the season. He ends up swept up in the big crash in Home Depot colors tonight. 13, Jared Wishon, also up in the top 5 pretty much all night long. Ends up on his lid on that final lap with Ariati, who I think we may have jinxed by virtue of our late race interview, comes home in 15th. Justin Gable had the hard crash that set up the green-white checker finish. He DNF'd, came home 6 laps down. Bobby Chaney, despite starting 4th, one of his best qualifying efforts of the season, 17, 33 laps behind the leaders. The trials and tribulations of Zoltan Herczeg's chase continue to take an odd twist after he ends up 18th when all was said and done. David Shutt caught up in a crash with Cody Miller while running in second spot, ends up in 19th spot. And Josh Robin, after providing lap after lap of drifting content, ends up in 20th spot, 85 laps behind. And Will Klein, we never necessarily saw that car on the racetrack. One of the championship chasers coming into tonight. We didn't see him at Darlington either. Klein ends up the last car officially scored in our field in 21st spot.
My mistake, only 21 cars this evening, but the point stands. Daniel Falkingham, 23rd or better, Eric. You got to think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see it. Plus, the versatility of Falkingham, we mentioned in our lead into tonight's race, the road course is one thing. He dominated there. The fact that he got some wins on the intermediates, including Darlington and Indianapolis and so on and so forth, then goes out and wins Bristol Dirt as well. There really is no type of track that does not necessarily suit his style. And I think back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, which he dominated there as well. We're going to Chicagoland, Vegas. I agree with what Sean Williams said. I think the racing is going to be phenomenal. There's all the reason in the world to tune in and watch. But I think to imagine a world where Daniel Falkingham is not in the mix of those races at the front of the field and kind of sewing this thing up with a bow, I think it's pretty highly likely that we're going to see him put a cherry on top of this thing in spectacular fashion with the final 2 races we've got.
Yeah, Chicagoland and Las Vegas, they fit right into Daniel's wheelhouse. So many wins this season, 9 in fact. I wouldn't be surprised. I certainly think he wins one of the next 2. I think absolutely he wins one of the next 2 and puts the bow on all of this, takes a championship, gets 10 wins. I mean, that just seems like what's going to happen if you ask me. We'll see how it works out, and we'll see how the standings change going into next week at Chicagoland. However, firstly, let's talk about some of the partners here at Pit Stop TV. Eric, there's a lot of them. How about we alternate here? Tucson Sound Art, well, they provide a fantastic product, one that you've got to check out today at TucsonSoundArt.com. If you go there, you'll find all their different products, different sizes and such of the wall-mounted sound art device that you can purchase. And I mean, this is great stuff. It's basically a Bluetooth speaker within a canvas, and that seems to be the way that you display pictures these days. It looks great, it's seamless, it's modern, and it plays music. It's fantastic. I've been using mine. In fact, really, these last couple of days, I've been hard at work. I got to prepare for all of you guys to make some broadcasts happen the rest of the week. I'm headed to Ohio tomorrow, so trying to get all of that stuff done, helping my workflow has been my Tucson Sound Art device. just making sure I have some tunes to go ahead and jam with while I'm doing some work, getting stuff knocked out of the way, and making that stuff happen. So Tucson Sound Art, I sincerely stand by this product. Go to Tucson Sound Art today and use promo code PitstopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order.
Another amazing partner that we have here on the platform is our friends at Race Pace Setups. That is a Discord link listed on the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. Sean Williams talked about how NORC is one of these most incredible sim racing communities that you could find. Well, if you're looking to try to step up your game, especially if it's on a road course or street course portion of the sim, if you want to look at some of the setup experts that are out there, our friends at Race Pace Setups have you covered. You can work with our buddy over there, Tyler, who's a real-world race engineer, and as a matter of fact, he will do everything that he can to help make sure that you are ready and raring to go for your next on-track contest. I know that when my time comes to return to the sim, I'm going to be leaning on Race Pace Setups to help get me up to speed and make sure that I have the best underneath my belt and underneath my car to assure the best possible finish and outcome. Now, you can pick up your pace with Race Pace Setups, another proud partner here on Pit Stop TV.
Of course, we cannot forget Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Ashley Bullier and her team of specialists up in Maine, up in Daniel Falkingham's neck of the woods. They put together a lot of great work up at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Go to permanentmakeupinmaine.com for more information about them. It's basically permanent makeup, so it's not necessarily permanent forever. It's not like a Sharpie, but it's essentially microblading, if you will, for your eyebrows, potentially, or whatever that kind of stuff. It's on a very small scale, so a lot of precision, a lot of professionalism, a lot of special schooling goes into being able to perform permanent makeup and cryo procedures, and the cryotherapy opportunities at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, they extend to anybody. Don't think this is just for the ladies, guys. This could help you out as well. It freezes fat cells, makes those go away. If you're looking to trim up, potentially for a wedding coming up, that's a quick way to do it. It helps you out. And, I mean, who doesn't want to look their absolute best at Permanent Makeup in Maine? They make you look your best for the right price as well. You deserve the best care that money can buy. That's what they strive for at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine.
Another incredible partner we have here is that of Whiplash Media. So this is, in fact, a unique partnership that we have here on Pit Stop TV. In fact, Whiplash Media is the parent company of Pit Stop TV. You can see the URL information down below, and I remember back in the golden days of getting Pit Stop TV up and underway, Andrew, that Whiplash Media served as the foundation that specializes in various sim racing resources, and that includes a number of broadcast elements that we have here tonight. Everything from paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs. We introduced that fan cam tonight. That was all due in part to not only Andrew Cardinale IV's hard work, but also the correlation that we have with Whiplash Media, those camera packs. There's so many more other entities that are available. As you mentioned, they're the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. And if you want to grab your own set of iBroadcast cameras today, just head on over to the URL that you see on the bottom portion of your screen. That's pitstoptv.com/whiplash for more.
And let's not forget, of course, BAM Racing Videos by a race fan for the racing community, making a lot happen over there at BAM Racing Videos. A lot of great content on YouTube. Go check it out today. There's also a Facebook and Instagram you can follow along with. A lot of great stuff happening at BAM Racing Videos. Upcoming broadcasts here on the platform, there's a lot of them. Let's talk about the next 4, in fact, because tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the Outlaws Sim Series from New Hampshire Motor Speedway up at Loudon, New Hampshire. Can't wait to see how that one goes. What was supposed to happen last week, yes, but some issues with the iRacing servers after the September build, which brought a lot of great things, unfortunately halted their progress on the season, and they will have to wait until tomorrow night, excuse me, to get Race 10 underway, done, and dusted. Later in the week, I mentioned some broadcasts we were prepping for, getting stuff knocked out of the way in advance because I'll be out of town. Well, look at that. Bristol, twice, 2 series, Thursday and Friday. 8:15 p.m. Eastern for both. It's the MSRA Truck Series in the midst of their playoffs. Race 18, I do believe, of 22. And the MSRA National Series. Race, I want to say 25 of 33, I believe. That number might be a little bit off. It's around that number anyways. It's high up there. They're not quite to their playoffs. I believe this is the playoff cutoff race for the MSRA National Series, just like the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So there's a lot on the line in both series. I think Bristol is even the cutoff race for this current round in the MSRA Truck Series. There is a lot to watch for, a lot on the line. And of course, we come back on Tuesday evening at Chicagoland Speedway with the NORC iRacing Series and the Chase here in Season 13. Again, Daniel Falkingham, all he's got to do with 2 races to go is finish 23rd or better, and it's all his. That's the championship we're talking about. It's so close for Daniel Falkingham. Tune in at 6:40 p.m. Eastern next week to see if he gets it done. Next Wednesday, we've got 2 shows. We'll highlight those real quick. Hickory Motor Speedway is making its first appearance on Pit Stop TV. Can't wait to have the Cars Esports Tour there next Wednesday. Hickory Motor Speedway, September 22nd. Then Outlaws goes to Pocono, and the MSRA Series head to Las Vegas. So there's a lot to watch for coming up. We've also got the Intimidator Challenge coming up next Friday, as well as the North American Racing League GT3 Cash Days. There we go, at Long Beach next Saturday. So tons of stuff coming up here at Pit Stop TV. Next week is going to be a big week. Eric, there's a lot of ways to keep up with Pit Stop TV. We've always got something going on. Tell the viewers about it.
I'm fortunate that, well, I would say fortunate, but I've got a lot going on this upcoming week, just like you do there, Andrew. So I'm going to be watching along with a lot of our viewers and listeners and fans over the course of the next couple of days. In fact, my next broadcast will be 1 week from tonight with NORC and Chicagoland. So how do I stay up to speed with all that's going on? The links that you see on the bottom portion of your screen, facebook.com/pitstoptv, Instagram.com/pit_stop, easy for me to say, _TV. Also, we've got twitter.com/pitstoptv_, and youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1. There's a lot of impersonation pit stop accounts, pit stop TV accounts. That's the one that gets you to our live broadcast and replay. And also, we always have a social media expert on hand. Tonight it was our buddy Trey Shuttlesworth. And, oftentimes when we get a break, I'll kind of pull it on up here and see what's going on the gram and whatnot. And, of course, Trey's already got the results and latest information and most unique posts and ways to pass off some of the live happenings that's taking place in some of our broadcasts. And that's just some of the ways that you could stay up to speed with all that we've got going on. And there's a lot. We're starting to get back to that point here, even as a lot of the regular and real-world stuff of racing is starting to wind down. A lot of short tracks starting to sew up their seasons or get towards the tail end of their runnings for the year. We're starting to turn up that dial a little bit more here as we head into an off-season. What off-season? There's no off-season at Pit Stop TV. We got so much coming your way.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot coming up. Of course, our regular series, NORC, Outlaws, MSRA, and then, of course, adding in a couple of special events next week, the Intimidator Challenge, Sprint Cars at Talladega. Yes, that's right, Sprint Cars at Talladega. You'll see the promo for it here in a moment when we close out. You've seen it a few times already, I'm sure. Sprint Cars, Talladega, don't miss it. We've also got the NARL Cash Days event at Long Beach. 4 hours of endurance racing. Tony Kanaan, Daniel Morad, and their teams will be taking part. Also, plenty of reason to tune in there. Getting things done here at Pit Stop TV. Before we go, make sure to follow us on Facebook at those aforementioned links, along with Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. We're on all of them. Again, we can run this graphic real quick if you need any of those links. Instagram, Twitch, they double as the same username. But that will do it from the virtual Phoenix Raceway in the virtual Avondale, Arizona. Happy to have had you all here tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. For all of Pit Stop TV, Eric Brennan beside me on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and if you want to join the crew, if you want to join our commentary, production, or social media team, email me, Andrew@pitstoptv.com. It's real simple. You don't need to have iRacing to do it either. If you're interested in commentary, hit me up. We will get it done. We'll make it happen. We'll have you on the team very, very soon. Have a great night. God bless. We'll see you next time.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.